Get us started. We got a pretty full agenda tonight, and I appreciate everybody showing up. This is being recorded for posterity and record and all that, so that's officially announced. Online, we have Ariane and myself, Mike O'Haron Chair, member Ariane Barden. Also, tonight I have been informed Steve Fuller is not going to be able to attend almost any of the meeting. He might be able to zoom in later, but probably not. He has personal business to take care of, but we should have, we do have a quorum, and so we can go ahead with the meeting. So I'll have the agenda for April 24th Conservation Commission meeting at the Bellingham Municipal Center and on Zoom online for the April 24th. And the first hearing item is a notice of intent continuation hearing for 217 Hartford Avenue, 700,000 square foot warehouse, BVW bank, land underwater impacts under WPA with mitigation, 39,358 square feet, isolated wetland and vernal pools under bylaw with mitigation. We've been working on this project for quite some time. The current status is we have a draft order of conditions, special conditions, which is presented about 2 weeks ago to the commission members for the first time for the review. Been worked on by our peer review BSC, as well as Hannah, our administrator, and Cliff Matthews, who has been doing some consulting with us to finalize some of the points that we wanted to make sure we were covered. Hannah, can you tell me whether this was provided to the applicant, and if so, when they received this draft that we've had from you guys?
I don't believe that this most updated draft has been presented to them, but
They have an earlier version? Sorry, do they have an earlier version of that? And if so, do you remember when that was provided?
Yeah, they have the previous one that we gave them. What was that, March 27th or whatever that meeting was?
March 27th, okay. All right. Do we have anyone here from, I'm looking at the online, and I can't see the room, so I can't apologize. Who do we have here for the applicant?
Jeff Curley with WS Development. Is here,
Great.
Mr.
Thanks.
Yeah, Austin from Bowler.
Right.
Brian Madden as well.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen. I apologize for you not getting the most current draft. We have a quite large document there, and a lot of work went into it, and we are going to proceed with it as a very deliberate process to review it and make sure all the commission members have a chance to provide input. I will ask that Hannah provide that to you. I, again, apologize. I kind of thought that you guys had gotten the most current draft to at least have for the meeting, not that we were going to discuss in great detail at this point in time. I don't think, because my understanding is from talking to several commission members that they do want to take their time looking through this and make sure they've had a thorough chance to review it and make sure that we're clear on it. So I'll open for the commission members at this point in time, especially since the applicant does not have a copy in hand, and that would be putting them at a disadvantage to try to put them on the spot to ask any questions. Do any of the commission members have any questions or clarification they'd like about what they've had a chance to review so far in this draft order of conditions?
Mr. Chairman, might I add a question before the members speak, if that's okay?
Just 1 second. Is that Jeff?
Sure. Yes, it is. Sorry.
I just want to see, I want to just get a sense from the members. Mr. Vice Chair, you have any comment?
I do not.
Okay. If no other member has an initial comment, we'll certainly hold that option open for us. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just, my recollection of last month's meeting, I think it was 4 weeks ago that we were here, we had provided some requested edits and some comments to the original draft that had been provided to us back in
March.
Mid-March, late March, mid to late March, third week of March, something like that.
Okay.
When we left last meeting, we attended again, which was March 27th, if I recall. That document was to be circulated to commission members, and then I think you had instructed Matt from BSC to consider that, as well as other. That's the document that you are you're all looking at that we haven't received? Is that what you're suggesting?
I believe, and Hannah, you can help correct this because you were involved in that editing process and that document exchanging. I believe that that is correct in essence, that you did have some comments and suggestions that you had from the previous March version, the last working, so to speak, documents that had been done via the collaboration effort that had been going on. At that point in time, I think we were going to be pulling back from a combined effort and doing what the commission is empowered and has traditionally done, which is to take the order of conditions information, put it together in a document, and then, as we should have done, unfortunately, we didn't provide a most current version, but I believe the information and the comments that you guys had were incorporated into what the commission members saw and were working with as a document. Is that right, Hannah?
Yep, I'm in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Were the comments themselves, however, provided to each of the commission members? I think that was a point of clarification I had asked for at
Good
the
question.
27th meeting.
I
Um,
believe that she sent us that document,
Who is she? Oh, Hannah?
Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Hannah, was the version that we were looking at that you and Matt most recently sent out to the commission members, did that have those comments actually incorporated into them? I don't remember seeing them as like I saw some sideline on the side of the documents, comments, points of information, so which seemed to be coming from the applicant. Those were the comments that they had?
Yeah, essentially what Matt and I did, like from the previous meeting, was take the discussion and the comments and put them in our own document on the side, or change the minor edits that we agreed with, and then that document was sent out to you guys.
Right, okay. Does that answer your question, Jeff?
More or less, I guess I'll know if I am given an opportunity to see the document.
Sure, that's something we will do promptly. I'll ask Hannah to take care of that as soon as the meeting is over and or tomorrow, whatever. And yeah, then we do. My point tonight was, or my focus tonight was basically seeing if the commission members had any initial questions and concerns, issues, clarification that would help them in their review of the document. And certainly, if any of your comments or points that were incorporated into it were raising an issue, that they could bring it up now, we could try to get that briefly covered and clarified with the full understanding that I think that we want to continue this if the applicant is in agreement and the commission members to the next meeting to give us another period of time to continue to evaluate the document and make sure that we have covered everything we need to. A lot of work went into this on a lot of people's parts, and want to make sure that we've been doing our due diligence. Any commission members have any other additional comments or questions about the document that they've seen so far?
I don't have any issues with it as of right now. So far, it looks pretty straightforward.
Right, and while I did have briefly a conversation with Steve Kohler about his not being able to be here tonight, just for the record, I believe that what we have, and Jeff, you can confirm this because I know you've been doing your very due diligence with the calendars and with Austin there as to who on the Concom has been participating in these meetings since it began, the warehouse project began. We have 4 members, voting members, currently Neil, myself, Ariane, and Noel, who have been participating in this hearing from the beginning, and therefore we will have a quorum to vote on an order of conditions without necessarily needing either Steve Kohler tonight or in the future for the whenever it comes for an actual vote. And the 2 newest members, Jim and Don, certainly have not been participating long enough to vote on this project, but they can certainly participate and ask questions and provide input as part of their role on the Concom. So is that, you agree with that, Jeff? We do have the 4 members, and so we should be good to moving forward. This shouldn't hold us up.
The only point of clarification I'll offer is Steve was not an original member of the commission, did not participate in the first handful of.
Correct.
meetings. So
He
the 4
started
you've
on-
identified are the 4 that are eligible to vote.
Right, and we do need a quorum of 4 to have a legal vote, and so we should be good. The members that are here tonight, obviously, are 4 of us that need to be and participate and continue the process. But yeah, okay. So that's good. If there are no other questions on this particular item, and or issues that people want to raise, I'll move on and ask for a motion to continue this to the meeting of what's our next date here coming up? Anna, you want to help? The
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we had left the last meeting with the understanding that when this draft was circulated to the commission, it would also be circulated to applicant. That was the
yes,
message delivered at the end of last meeting. So when will we get an opportunity to review the document?
I believe you should be able to get as soon as Hannah can get it to probably tomorrow, Hannah, maybe next day.
Yeah, I can definitely have it by the end of the day tomorrow.
So you would have at that point in time, Jeff, and be able to review it as we would be looking for a May 8th, correct, Hannah? The next meeting?
I don't have the agenda in front of me. I'm hoping Kaya or Claudia does.
Well, I'm looking at a calendar and May 8th is the next second Tuesday, so second Wednesday, sorry. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I will not be here on the 8th.
okay. That's
Although I could
important to know.
I could potentially participate remotely.
Okay, well, that is acceptable from a Zoom meeting point of view for votes, so if we are ready to
You, Jeff.
move along with a vote at that point in time.
Actually,
Sorry, go ahead.
I might be getting some dental work that day, so I don't know if I'll be there either. It's gonna be
Okay.
pretty severe,
Well,
if you were wondering.
I think at the very least, we could use the place
Mhm.
stop or have a continuation to the 8th. My recommendation, just to be continuity, it would give the applicant a chance to raise a question or concern if they have one for clarification. Not that they're helping draft the order of conditions, but for clarification, they'll have a chance to respond if they needed to. We would also, if we have everybody ready and everything looks good, the opportunity to vote if we wish to, or continue it to the following meeting if that made more sense, or we don't have the quorum that we need. So my recommendation would be, unless Concom members disagree, that we go ahead and schedule it for 7 o'clock on May 8th, and I'll accept a motion to do so unless the members have other thoughts on that.
So moved.
Moved by Neil, second.
A second.
Second, thank you, Noel. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, Mike.
Ariane online, aye.
Aye, thanks, and Ariane. Okay, so that's a unanimous vote. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, applicant, Jeff and Austin, and
Thank you for the continued cooperation.
thank you, appreciate it. Okay. 1 second here, let me just switch my agenda. Okay. So the next item on the agenda for tonight is a notice of intent continued from a previous date, probably the last meeting. It is for 1052 South Main Street, construction of a drainage pipe to replace the failing drainage pipe located within the 100-foot buffer zone to a BVW. Applicant Glenn Wagner, Representative Chris Sirik. Chris, I see that you are online. I hope you're doing well, and I'd appreciate to give us a summary of where we are with this. We were talking about it being an RDA for this project, and we don't have anything in hand currently. At least I haven't received anything in the portal. So we're looking to see where you're at.
Okay, I just got back, so I have not been on this project at all. From what I understood, where we had left it off is Sean had submitted some a drainage study that you had asked for, and what we were looking to do is really just replace the existing pipe with the existing with a bigger pipe for now to try to get the water to not sit in that area. That's the last of my involvement was that the last meeting I was not at.
Right. This was going to be a little more complicated project because of the property owners involved and the fact that it's not a real clear cut. Even the solution that we're looking for that was recommended by the DPW is one that was somewhat not questionable, but uncertain as to exactly the details and how to work, making a larger pipe to help drain and relieve the problems that are caused by these towns' water, stormwater removal process that ends up dumping water out in the backside of that area by the pond. But it does affect negatively some of the neighbors, especially when beaver activity and other things happen. It is somewhat more complicated than just putting a bigger pipe in and calling it done, especially with maintenance and ongoing. Neil, where did we leave with the RDA part of it, Neil? Because I know you brought that up. In your mind, where were we?
Has an RDA been filed?
Well, since Chris wasn't involved before, I don't think probably it has, although some information was provided, you said, Chris, to Hannah a while back.
I believe that not the last meeting, but the one before, it was requested to do a drainage study of the area. I saw an email going back and forth saying it was done and then submitted. So I believe that went out. But the last meeting, I don't know what happened at the last meeting.
We've just been continuing it. We really haven't had any hearing process. Hannah, did you receive something from DPW for a drainage study? I don't remember. We might have gotten it. I might have just blanked on it.
They did have one, and that would be probably like 2 months ago at this point. So it was sent. If I got it in my email, I would have forwarded it straight to you guys. But I can check the portal and recirculate it.
I mean, we would need at the very least an RDA.
Right.
They have
a
filed.
hearing.
They have a local filing because the DEP, they made comments on it on their database.
They did. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are in process, but we aren't certainly near to the point of a definite plan, and this is how it's going to happen, and so forth. We also have Norfolk County mosquito control, which is available as a resource to help. And Chris, you may have been made aware of that by some of your team. They've been out several times looking at the site. They have federal both legs and abilities and resources, and permitting wise, they don't have to go through quite the same process as we would with the town and the DPW. So forth.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Carol. Carolyn and I have talked.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's a resource. I think what I'd like to do is try to get a sense of what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward. I'm open to suggestions from either commission members, administrator, or anybody else, but I think we want to move something forward here. And
Well, I haven't even seen any documents.
well, yeah. Other than that drainage plan, which wasn't necessarily shared to the commission members, I don't think there isn't really much in the way of documents.
Yeah, I don't have a drainage report. I don't see it in my email.
Right. Hannah, that wasn't shared to the commission members, right? So we're not wasting our time looking for something that's not there, right?
The only thing that the DPW did was the engineer went out there and assessed it and created a scope for a cost. That's what I know of.
The engineer.
How do they have a Mass TP filing number? Like, how did they get that?
That because Chris filled out the document probably like a month before that.
Oh,
Yeah.
can we have that?
The NOI.
Yeah.
It's on public. It's on the website if you want to look on Concom website publicly right now.
Oh, the actual website. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Chris, what is your plan, Chris, as far as moving this forward? What would you like to be doing? What do you plan on focusing since you're coming back from being out for a while and your team has been sort of covering some stuff, but not necessarily making a lot of progress? How would you propose as the representative from the town working on this?
Yeah, so the proposal of a greater drainage study, that there's no money that we have that's earmarked to do a huge drainage improvement in that whole area. So that's why we'd like to replace the existing 8 with what is there, put a new 18 in, That's definitely going to improve it. Once we do that, Carolyn would be able to reestablish the swale. And Carolyn said back when the swale was established that it did work much better than what we have now. So that's what we're looking to do, is to try to eliminate that issue as much as possible for now.
And just so we're clear, by the issue, what we mean is
That we can
the
do
bu-
in-house for nothing. Just a couple of days of our work. Other is going to be years and years out, I would say, by the time you conduct a study, go for money, get design, get engineering, construction. So that's why we'd like to replace what's there right now.
Okay, I understand you're looking for a very limited scope, and that
Yeah.
does make some sense. Just so we're clear, the relief that we're looking, or was being looked for, especially from the abutters, is that the fact that their yards are impacted negatively, especially when we get a lot of runoff, and or the pond is not being drained down effectively, either because of beavers or the boards are left at a higher level, or whatever the combination of factors are, just a lot of rain. And the fact that the the town drainage system for that part of Roberta Lane, Stephen Road, Blackstone Street, et cetera, flows down in through and back out of a pipe that is a town maintained piece of facility, whatever you call it, infrastructure, is what we're looking for, is to get the abutters who are negatively affected by this some relief. If you want to approach this as a very limited scope, I don't know. I think coming to us with something more formally documented, not necessarily a drainage study per se, but this is what we plan on doing, basically what you've just summarized. I don't know, Hannah, have we ever seen that in writing in that form, that way Chris just described it, in a document from anybody else on his team? I didn't think so, but we talked about it a lot, but I don't think we've got anything in writing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and do we ever receive a filled out RDA?
It's a NOI. I just put it
I
in
know,
the
I know,
chat
sorry.
for
Okay,
everyone.
you did.
But
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, thanks, I didn't see that. Okay, so I guess what we want to do is to have this continue to move forward, and to get to the point where the Concom can have something to review and make a decision on as far as giving our blessing to it. Then we'd have to have the logistics of it worked out with the abutters and the property owners, specifically that third party that may own some of the swale area, but that may take a little digging to find out exactly who they are and if they have any impact. The area between the berm and the abutters that would be potentially cleaned up or modified, somewhat improved by Norfolk County and their equipment, which wouldn't necessarily involve us because they are not, I guess, not, I don't say jurisdictional, but not regulated the same way we are required to for this. I'm a bit at a loss because I'm not sure exactly how to push that part of the things along without setting things back a bit, and it's new to me. Open to suggestions from anybody on the Concom board. Neil, any thoughts?
I think moving it forward would actually be having a plan on paper we could review.
Right. So what do we think we want from a plan for Chris to provide for us so that he can focus on a, again, fairly limited scope, I think, on project?
I would think we would need to have some sort of description of what's being proposed with at least enough detail so that we can have a discussion around it.
And a sketch of some sort, that's something.
Yeah, I mean, that was all submitted. There was it's a small
Should be
sketch.
online.
It's really, that was submitted a while ago, but there was a sketch submitted showing where the swale comes out, going across the, dike of the pond, just replacing existing PVC with 18-inch PVCs, matching inverts. That was given a while ago.
We have a plan that was submitted quite a while ago. They did
But
this.
we don't have, that was just showing the pipe. So what we'd want to see is like where you're going to store excess soil, where
There
you're
will
gonna
be no
put
excess
any
soil. This will
details.
be a 2-day job. It'd be dug, taken away, stone put back in, pipe in, and taken away. No
This was an-
storage on site. No.
This was
It's
an
just,
outline, what they wanted to do.
worst case, 3 days there, mostly
These are the
cleaning up, but
residents
no,
that are
no
impacted.
storage on site.
Okay, hold on a second. We're getting a little crosstalk there. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, I just opened the link in the chat there and
Michael, we have a plan on the easel that showed the overview of
Yep.
what, the project consisted of as far as the replacement of the pipe. They did this in-house. This is an emergency repair. It's impacting residents now with the heavy rains. I think, I didn't know there wasn't an RDA done, but there was a filing done. I don't know why we can't just move forward with an emergency repair of the pipe and let Norfolk County handle the rest of it as far as, if they have to widen the swale or clean it up more. This is impacting a lot of people, so we were trying to put this forward. It's been sitting for quite a while. I think they can do it with the best practices in mind to clean it up and help these people out. So this is the drawing and here's the pipe location. This was submitted a while ago. Hannah did have this in the office, so I don't know
All
if.
right.
Can you,
Thank you.
can you move it
seen this.
over a little
I
bit?
keep losing
It's
it.
literally out of view of the camera.
It's the same thing that's on the website
Yeah.
that you're probably looking at, Ariane.
Oh,
So
okay.
Tim, I appreciate what you just said, but I think the complicating factor is it's not on town property. It's private property. So going onto somebody else's property to do something to improve another person's property and remedy a situation which we all agree needs to be remedied in some way isn't quite as simple as if this was on a swale on the side of the road and along one of the town roads and clearly owned by the town and so forth. So just saying.
I have received a written permission from Mr. Wagner to dig it and to access through his property.
Right. All right. Yes,
And I'm not sure this meets the definition of emergency. It's definitely impactful to the residents. I get it, but it's certainly not a threat to public safety or health at the moment, which I believe is probably the definition of an emergency. But
right.
I agree. I agree. We need to move this along somehow.
Right. So I think
Oh,
if the commissioners, whether we use the word emergency or not, the commissioners have enough documentation between the NOI original information, the set of plans for the pipe replacement. We get some additional, I believe we could benefit from having a little bit more defined narrative, just the way it's described, of the process, how it would be done. And we bring it back to the meeting down the road, the next meeting, let's say. I don't know, I'll take a straw poll here kind of thing. Does the commission feel that they would be comfortable in permitting something like this to happen? Again, very limited scope. Not
Yeah,
necessarily
I'm
calling it.
comfortable with this. I think we should move this forward.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with it.
Okay, any other members have any comments on Ariane?
There's a couple things that they're missing, the DEP noted in their comments.
Okay, such as?
It's paperwork stuff, it's signature of the property owner, but that's a big one if we're going on private property. And then
Absolutely.
there's no abutters list that's been certified by the town. That was part of the NOI. There's no access shown. And it looks like they'd be going straight through BVW, so they'd have to kind of mark out how they plan to access the work, what equipment's gonna be used, how they're gonna stage it.
Staging.
And then I don't think they made reference to any erosion controls.
No.
All right, even for a 2-day project, Chris, and I know it's quick in and out and you're live loading stuff right out, it's something that we do like to make sure is just at least noted that you'd have some protective measures and
Yeah,
so
I know there was something that I gave to somebody that said would use straw wattles for the project while we were doing it, but
right.
no, it's something more. You're looking for something written down more formal.
I think I'm going to ask Hannah, if you wouldn't mind, could you take the combination of what, I'm sorry, I couldn't even see on the camera here, whether it was Jim or Don who was speaking
Yeah, it was
about the
James.
DP stuff. Yeah, sorry, James, thanks. So if you could take those comments the DP have, forward them on to Chris and come up with something that we could review at the next meeting and say, this is the plan, this is what it looks like, this is how it's going to happen. The DEP things are covered. We have butters notified in the meantime, which we should be able to do. There's not going to be a large number of them. And So we cover all those points that we've seen been raised and have been out there for a while. And maybe we can wrap this up at the next meeting. Does that make any sense, Anna, or is there still question marks in your mind about this?
Nope, I think that makes sense.
Okay, Chris, does that make sense to you? You could provide the support to provide the documentation and narration and so forth, how you're
Yeah.
gonna access the site and all that. Okay, great. Sorry, somebody else started to say something? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, so if the pipe's being replaced at the same invert, is the water level going to have to be lower than the pipe when the work is done? Or is when the pipe is being replaced, is water going to be flowing through the trench somehow?
So right now the water level's high and we wouldn't even attempt it. I'm looking at even outside of the pond right now. It's holding water there, so the water level is very high. So we're going to have to wait to go to when it's a little lower. I know Sean is talking with Mr. Wagner since I've been out, and he has his stops at the lowest stop. So we just got to catch up to the rainfall of the last month. And then we would be right at the water level.
Okay. All right, makes sense.
Oh.
Yeah, so this would obviously have to be done, and that could be specified right in the order of conditions approval process that, it has to be done at a low point in time to minimally impact, we don't want water flowing the wrong way through the trench while they're trying to do work. And that could be.
We don't want any water flowing through the trench.
Right. Ultimately, we want it flowing out into the pond and out down the stream, but ultimately, yes, during the work, you're right. Absolutely, Mr. Vice Chair. All right, any other comments or questions about this particular item? Anyone
Sorry.
online, any of the abutters who may be present either online or in person?
Just to clarify, sorry, Hannah, you want a proposed order of conditions by the next meeting, or you're just saying, once I get that documentation, I can start that order of conditions?
Oh, I think getting the documentation is what I'm looking for, so that we have everything we need to make a decision whether we want to go forward with the project in the next meeting. And then doing so, order of conditions could follow quickly, as quickly after that as it can be done. But given the timing and the weather, we're in the spring, who knows how wet it'll be. It may be a bit of time before they can even get this lined up to do the work. So having an order of conditions real quickly isn't my priority. It's just continuing to move the process beyond talking about it to the planning, potentially approval state, and then getting it done eventually when timing makes. That makes sense?
Yes.
Was there someone else from the room or online?
This is
speaking?
Bernadette, Mike. I just
Yes,
want to be,
Bernadette.
on the next meeting, on the next meeting, these conditions are gonna be documented that Chris is gonna submit, and then at that point, we may move forward with this. Is that correct?
I believe that's the hope and the plan, yes, that we would have something.
Weather permitting, I understand, right?
Right,
Okay.
that's the hope and the plan, I think. Any other questions or comments from the commission members about this particular item? Okay, I will accept a motion to continue this and 1052 South Main Street notice of intent to the meeting of May 8th at 7 p.m.
Second.
Okay, I couldn't see who was doing that. My screen's a little too small on that shot, so.
Noel moved.
Noel
James
moved.
second.
James second. Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions or comments about it? Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Mike online.
Hi, Ariane online.
Thank you. Okay, unanimous vote. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you,
Oh,
Mike.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thanks, Chris. Good luck. Next item on the agenda is continue hearing for notice of intent for 0 Maple Street. It's a proposed 19,525 square foot industrial style building with parking areas, 3 proprietary treatment devices, and 2 subsurface infiltration systems. Rich Gordon is the applicant. Shane Oates Independence Engineering LLC is the representative. I see Shane is online. Do you have anybody else there online? I see a bunch of names, but I don't recognize them. Shane?
No, just myself this evening.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. So, we presented the project back in March. We did a site walk, I believe Saturday, March 23rd, a handful of us, to take a look at the wetland areas, some of the proposed locations for the building and the stormwater. And we submitted some revised plans probably a few weeks ago, so I'll just quickly go over those. If someone could let me share my screen.
Pam, could you take care of that, please? What is that?
Should be all set.
All right, great. So this is, can everyone see the layout plan? There I am. Okay.
Right.
So
These-
what we've done, there were two items of concern from our first conservation hearing that was reiterated during the site walk. So we have a note here that just simply says all existing downslope gravel paths to be covered with erosion control blanket and treated with a native seed mix to reestablish ground cover. So there's a few different trails that lead down from this uphill area where the cleared area is, down towards the wetland areas. So we have that note on all our plans. So the developer will take care of that prior to construction. Sheet 5, the grading was revised a little. We had a proposed sign structure here to the northeast corner of the site. That's been removed now, and we're just grading down to existing grade. So that was taken care of. And then actually back to sheet 4, it's also shown on sheet 7. So the second concern was we weren't showing any snow storage areas. So let's go back here where they're labeled. Here's some snow storage areas out to the rear of the site. Snow storage in the front to avoid the landscaping there. And then the area that was regraded right out here to the northeast. So we're just calling out some designated snow storage areas. So that was really, just going to go back to the buffers plan, the overview plan we presented in March. But those were the two revisions that were made per the commission's request. And that's all we really have. We're in front of the planning board tomorrow evening to present to them for our first time. So the commission hasn't, yeah, they've been very busy. So we're a little bit behind. Usually we'd get ahead with those guys. But yeah, if the commission has any additional questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
What commission members were able to make the site walk? Does anybody want to identify if you were able to make it, what you saw?
James was there, yeah.
Mine was there.
Okay. And what do you think? It was good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple, like was mentioned, there's a couple of those gravel style trails that obviously some people are using as some sort of party area and access to different parts of the other properties. So I think covering that up will help because it was getting pretty, we were out there in the rain, so we could notice that it was pretty mucky out there. And I think covering that up and revegetating is going to help.
Yeah, especially if there is any, if there is any overflow out of the emergency overflow, that it would pretty much head right for that trail and could potentially cause even more erosion than's already been done by the dirt bikes and the ATVs trespassing on the property. So I think that was, trying to stabilize that slope would go a long way. Otherwise, the wetland line looked good. Everything else looked to be as described. And we didn't have any, everything looked pretty good.
Can I confirm, I know when we were out on site, it was told to us that all the lead would be hammered out. Is that still accurate? Because I know we had a little slip up of there may potentially be some blasting. So I was curious.
Yeah, no, the property owner, who's also a contractor, believes that it'll be able to be hammered out. I think he's done some work in the area, and you can see this is a good plan too. So when we were out there, this ledge to the western portion of the site, to the back of the site, we're actually not even touching that. I think when we were in the field, I showed where the outlet structure was near the ledge. So we're we're staying away from that rear ledge portion. So the only areas of ledge that we'll have to hammer out is really just this section here, to the southern portion of the development, and then this little section here to the north. So, so he's fairly confident he doesn't think it's going to be very difficult at all. So. And after I got back in my truck that day after our walk, I opened this full-size plan and realized that there is no need to remove the ledge to the rear of the site, which is good.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Shane, could you go to the snow pile removal, snow
Sure.
pile areas on the back side of the site, please? I have a quick question.
Sure, they're
So-
right here. Yep,
Right, there are two of them, correct? On either side of the dumpster.
that's correct.
So the one on the left is going to be right on top of the drainage structure outflow, correct?
This is just so from here, it's just, it's on top of a pipe which has plenty of cover.
Okay.
You can see right here, let me zoom
And
in.
it does slope down away from that area.
It does.
So the back side of that parking area it looks like a curb
Yep,
perimeter area. So
Yep.
snow plow removal or snow plowing up on top of a curb, over a curb with no barrier beyond and a hill going down. Do you have a plan to put some sort of, I can't see the detail on there, whether maybe a guardrail on the back side of the snow removal area to keep stuff from just going downhill that has some ice melt or oil on it or whatever?
We could, yeah, we could put, I'm almost wondering if it's, I think maybe given the concern about this area, maybe we push this landscaping over and down a little bit. These are just some junipers just for aesthetic purposes. There's no visual line of sight for any of the abutters. Here's the highway. So we could even move this and increase this area and make this a mountable curb and remove this entire area here. Because now that I'm looking at it, I don't think a lot is gained from this. And it's probably the most sensitive portion of the discharge area,
Right.
So,
Well, not
yeah.
only the discharge area, but generally with snow removal areas for parking areas, we try to keep them away from the top of a slope that's going down into a wetlands if possible. And if
Sure.
it has to be something like that, then we want to make sure that the snowplow operators aren't just tempted to pile it up and just push it out of sight and out of mind. Again, knowing that these snow piles are not perfectly clean, they've got oils and other sediments and stuff.
Sure.
So if there's a way to keep
They're not
them-
even a little clean.
yeah. So,
Right.
so not using those two at all would be great, but if they have to have them, then it's having something to backstop them so they can't go beyond a certain point, especially at the top of a slope, I think is going to be critical. The junipers, I don't think will help do anything for that, but
Sure.
some sort of railing system or indicating that, they must fill the front and the part of the order of, sorry, maintenance plan maybe is.
We
to
could probably do
snow
a,
clear front.
what we could do that we've done in other situations like this, we could maybe come in here and show a little post and rail fence, just so there's like a demarcation of, hey, you shouldn't go past that area.
And how, I'm looking at the contour lines there, not reading numbers because it's a little hard to see them.
It all slopes down, basically from the ledge, it all slopes down to the
Left
wetlands.
to the,
back
left
here.
to the, sorry, right to the left.
Right to the left, correct, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so we're not going straight downhill away from the site, okay.
Right, yeah, this is
Alright.
this is a much flatter slope than as we get down towards here, you see the contours are a
Right.
lot tighter. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
okay.
All right, all right. Any other questions from Concom members?
No.
No?
Nope.
Okay. These plans, I believe, are dated 4/4 on the notation there. These are the most current plans, which will
Yep,
be.
there's just these three sheets. There were three revised sheets dated 4/4.
But the plan themselves further down on that plan that you're showing there, that date right there is 2/9/24. So the
Yep.
4/4 plans are what we're seeing, not even though that original date was on there.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
these are last revised plans.
And
Yep,
this is what the planning board will see tomorrow.
correct.
So if we have, one of the conditions that we always like to make sure is that the planning board plans and ours are the same, so they would
Yep.
be the plans of record, so that's good. Okay, I don't have any other questions on this particular item. And I believe we would be ready to, based on planning board approval and no changes, proceed with an order of conditions, if that's the desire of the commission members. And if so, they can indicate by letting me know that they would like to make a motion to do so.
Motion to do so what?
Proceed, continue this to the next meeting and prepare an order of conditions based on approval of the planning board and no changes to the plans.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, thanks. For the record, hopefully whoever is recording that can hear who it is, because I can't tell from the picture, but thank you. Okay, any other discussion? This has been continued to the meeting of May 8th at 7 p.m. No other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Michael Heron online.
I, Ariane online.
Thank you. Unanimous vote. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Shane. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Okay,
So-
vote.
You too.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to the next item on the agenda, notice of intent. Continue hearing for Blackstone and North Street. This is a prior project which has been continued for some time, but it looks like we have some new information and a new set of plans to be reviewing tonight. This is originally was a 12 3-unit townhouse with buildings, stormwater management system. John Mashurian as applicant and Ryan Rosine as Goddard Consulting as the representative. I do have a question, and I know this has come up before. When a project changes like this, Neil, you can help me because you've done this with me. We don't change the project description, even though this new project, the new proposal we're here tonight is not for 12 3 town unit houses. It doesn't void the fact that we're hearing a change, or we don't need to change the description, correct, going forward?
No, because that's how the filing was done. It's still the same filing.
Okay, just for the record, that's good to know, even though my ignorance shown forth there. Okay, Ryan, or anyone else presenting tonight?
Yes, is this a good spot for this up here?
Looks good.
Okay, good evening, Ryan Rosine with Goddard Consultant. With me is Mike Hassett from Deere and Hellman. Yes, I'll go just a brief history of what it was previously, because I know some members were part of that, other members we have new. And I would like just to note for the record that we did re-advertise this and re-notify abutters with a new updated certified abutters list so that the new members can participate in this. So previously, those that remember, in the description that was just said, we were proposing 12 3-unit townhomes. And there was going to be a road that entered and there's an exit and entrance on Blackstone, and that connected down onto North Street. So now what this project has done going through planning board, and that's why we waited so long to come back to you, is there was a lot of changes going through and extensive peer review with planning board, is we've shrunk the development quite substantially. So we've pushed it down to just a few of these. We've gone down to five 3-unit townhomes instead of the 12, and it's just a large cul-de-sac. Actually, I'm gonna go to the grading and drainage plan. It's probably the best one to look at. So the same entrance as before. It's just a big circle that comes into the open field area. You got 5 3-unit townhomes surrounding the area. And all of that work, all impervious surfaces, is outside of the buffer zone. Over here, we have the wetlands that were delineated. And the only thing within the buffer zone is a portion of the stormwater basin. Now, this did change from the previous version that you had seen. It was 2 smaller basins. Now it's combined, it's one larger basin that's just there. And so we are between the 50 and 100-foot buffer zone. No work is inside of the 50. And we also, so as you can see, is the whole development is smaller. This whole area over here that was proposed to be previously developed is all forested. And so that has now been added, it's proposed to be added to the conservation restriction, which is an addition of almost 3 acres to the conservation restriction. And just as a note, we are working on a new CMP amendment with Natural Heritage. They were okay already with the 12 units. The only thing that they had, when we've gone to them in the previous version of this, is that just to increase that corridor, because this line used to be further up here. They just wanted a wider corridor up here, the north of the development between the wetlands and the other forested portions on the site. So they shouldn't have any issues with this, but we are going through that process. And we are also filing another notice of project change with MIPA. We did file one last year for the 12-unit one, and we did get a new certificate for that, but since it's changed, we'll be filing a new one for that. That pretty much covers it. I'll just open up to questions with the commission.
Okay, Commissioner.
Heritage, is that, turtles?
I'm sorry.
What's the national heritage? Is it turtles?
Yes, turtles, box turtles. Yeah.
Box turtles.
Yes.
And where did you say the plan was for that? You were actually starting the application for that new filing?
Yeah. So for the CMP amendment, so we had previously filed for the 12-unit one, and then we asked them to put a pause on the review of that because with the planning board, there was a lot of changes happening, and so we put a pause on it until, we're just getting back into that right now. So nothing has been filed yet for the CMP amendment for this updated plan, but it will be, within the next week or two.
And CMP stands for, just for the record?
Conservation Management Plan.
Right, and the National Heritage, the Endangered Species Heritage Protection Plan for the turtles. One of the comments was, and this was a long time ago, back in the earlier plans, that there was a protection plan being proposed for during the construction, going through literally, I guess, picking up the turtles that may be found in the area under impact and moving them, and then fencing area off and so forth. But does that also going to include a plan for down the road as the area is done being worked on and occupied by people living in those townhouses and so forth, to keep the areas that are now a cul-de-sac / housing from minimally impacting or whatever? That's going to be part of a plan and proposal in this National Heritage Species Protection.
Yeah, so the turtle protection plan is for during the construction phase. Once the construction phase is done, the turtle barrier fence will be removed. And there's not a fence proposed around the development. So turtles would be able to freely move in and out of the development. And
You said with a corridor earlier. I'm sorry, you said.
Oh, yeah, to the north of the development between the northern property line and the limit of work there. So that will remain as it currently sits today, which is, partially forested, partially the field habitat. But going back to previously, so the turtles would be able to move sort of freely once the development is built. And that's sort of kind of how these projects go. And, the residents would just have to, look out for turtles and, hopefully they don't, do anything with that. But most of the time they're pretty much in the forest, although they do come into the field habitat sometimes. So
Sure. Will we get a copy of that plan at some point in time, even if it wasn't? I know this came up years ago. I asked that question, I think, and I was told that it isn't normally provided as part of the process to the Concom per se. It's you're doing through the program that you're applying through there, the Endangered Species Protection Plan. But I would like to get a copy if we could for our records, just to have it there. And for the okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We can, once we file the CMP amendment, we can send you guys a copy of the turtle protection plan. Because that will have to be updated as part of this because of the new size of the development.
And because of the the more restrictive development size, everything in essence that I believe you were just saying for detention basins and all the other stuff that we had reviewed before is staying in the same locations, just getting smaller, correct?
Correct, yes. And so all the development is within that open old agricultural field habitat. There's no longer any forest cutting. There's the only bit of forest / shrubs that need to come down are right along the road, sort of for near between the southeastern corner of the detention basin and Blackstone Street. As you can see, there's some grading that goes on there, and there's just a little bit of forest and shrubs that need to come down. That's really the only clearing other than, just the field.
And is
We've
any
done
of
the test, we've done the test pits in the location of where the detention basin will be.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Mike, if you have anything else to say. for
Yeah,
that.
there's 5 test pits all in the general area of the basin, and then also in the northwest corner, I think there's a test pit in that small basin there as well.
What's our depth gonna be, final grade gonna be from the bottom of the pond to the groundwater?
The groundwater, I believe the groundwater depth in those test pits is about 8 feet. And I think we're maintaining the 2-foot separation to groundwater, required by the state. And this is all the drainage has already been peer reviewed, by the planning board's peer review. That's all been resolved, and we're wrapping that up. But yeah, I believe it's probably around 2.5 to 3 feet separation to groundwater.
Okay. I just noticed, I'm sorry, I didn't see this in the chat. So we had somebody who's online asking if this could be shared virtually for people who are watching online and Zooming, and I neglected to mention that because I didn't see that in the chat, so I apologize for that. Given the size of the initial plan, I think it was 200 and something pages of engineering studies and so forth, and reviews, information that was being provided. I certainly haven't looked through all that, nor necessarily will I be able to. But do we on the Concom feel that there is any need to have a peer review done based on the revised scope and the areas that are not jurisdictional that are in this project that are being reviewed? Do we think we need peer review is my question.
No, I think that'd be a little overboard.
No, I think the peer review, yeah, the peer review done by the planning board on the drainage is probably sufficient.
Okay.
We usually piggyback with their review anyway, so I think that's
Yeah, that's true.
sufficient.
I count on that to be done. Are they actually, do we know if they are going to be reviewing that with BSC or someone else?
They already have. I believe.
Yeah, there's already a thorough peer review.
They did,
of-
okay.
Of the drainage and planning elements and all, it's, planning board is preparing a draft, decision, for
Okay.
the, for their next hearing
Okay,
tomorrow night.
all right. Any other questions from the commission members about this particular project?
What was your main triggers?
So state permit was the conservation management permit for natural heritage, and then over 2 acres of priority habitat disturbance.
They're expecting to take the species or?
Yeah, we already got it. We already got that. We got that take. So little history before even this and before the 12-unit one.
Yeah.
Was back in 2019 or 2020, there was supposed to be 4 single-family homes here, and that is what triggered the take just on those. So we're still staying in, with the 12-unit one, we still stayed within the same approved limit of work. As those 4 single-family house units. And then we just switched to this. So yeah, we still have the take, and we went to natural heritage with the 12-unit one before we filed here, and that's where they wanted just a wider quarter, but other than that, they were all set with this, so they should.
When you went to Raven, did you go through the traditional process of an ENF draft EIR and where you issued a?
Yeah.
Cert and then.
Yes, yeah, we got our certificate and everything. And then, like I said, when we had the 12-unit design, we filed a notice of project change, and they gave us a new certificate for that project.
No
And
additional review, just.
No additional review, the same. And then we'll be filing another one for this 5-unit. And we expect the same thing.
Less impact.
Less impact, more, adding almost 3 acres up to the CR, so should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, we've been looking at this site for a while with from the
Planning boards.
4 unit.
Oh, yeah, from that one, yes.
All right. Additional questions or comments from the commission members? Anyone from the public have a question or comment that they'd like to make? Any of the abutters? Anyone in the
I-
meeting room?
Yes, hi, my name is Erica Wolf Juvenello at 268 Blackstone Street, directly across from this proposed building. So first of all, thank you so much for all that you are doing. But I do have a question in regards to that peer review. It sounds as though you're leaning on the planning board having done that. If that's not the case at tomorrow's meeting, because I will be there for that in person, I'm not certain what the peer review actually entails. Can you describe what it entails? And if it's not given tomorrow, what transpires at that point?
Usually the process is that the planning board and the conservation commission both, if they feel it is necessary based on the size of a project and the scope of a project, do complementary and sometimes simultaneously by the same company, not always, but most of the time, peer reviews. The planning board's focus is on stormwater engineering, site plans, and other details that are not within the purview of the Conservation Commission. Our scope is very limited to resource areas and impacts to resource areas. In this case, the wetlands to the east side of the site along the property line there are the areas that would be jurisdictional to us, but they're staying outside of those areas and not impacting those areas. So we, in this case, do not feel we need a peer review to be done by the Conservation Commission, which would focus on that, and just let the planning board do all the other stuff: street designs, layouts, lighting, traffic impacts, stormwater engineering is done through the planning board's purview, unless we have to get involved because it's a very complicated project, but this is not the case. And since everything has been scaled down so much, when we initially heard this project for the larger project back when it was 12 3-unit townhouses, the detention basins and other areas were much closer to the areas in impact potentially, but now they've been shrunk down even more, and there's even less possibility that there will be any impact. So that's why we're saying right now that we don't feel we need to do anything more with the Conservation Commission to have a peer review. But the planning board does a full and thorough process with a consultant who is paid to look out for the town's interests, and they're providing that information tomorrow.
Okay, great, thank you. I can't see what they're showing, so I can't see
Yeah, I
the scope
apologize.
of the project. So I just want to make sure that the stormwater and all, I know it was shrunk, I just don't know if it's impacting the wetlands, because I can't see it from online. So thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, I apologize. The technical part of it, I missed that comment in the chat. I should have thought to perhaps see if they could have simultaneously shared that online. I'll have to keep that in mind for future. But it does look like it's fairly straightforward from our point tonight. That's as far as the impact.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any comments or questions on this? Any other butters? Anybody else in the room? All right. Hearing no other comments or questions, I will accept a motion to move this. To continue this hearing to the evening of May 8th at 7 p.m. with the intent to begin the process of preparing an order of conditions. And then if it is prepared in time, we will have it ready for that meeting or prior to that meeting, perhaps review. If not, then we could at least put it off. It depends on how much time our administrator and the support staff have. We are short-staffed at this moment in time somewhat, so I don't want to commit to that totally, but we do want to, I think, continue to the next meeting. Anybody on the commission want to make the motion? Or another one?
So moved.
Who was saying that? Sorry.
James, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Second from anyone?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike online, aye.
Ariana online, aye.
Thank you. All right, that's unanimous vote. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you for those who have attended and have been participants as abutters or neighbors for your process, for continuing to be involved.
And your patience, yeah.
Yes, your patience. It's been a long process, but it looks like things are moving forward, and hopefully it will work out well for the neighbors and the butters. I don't live too far away, and hopefully it will be a good project. Moving along, 85 Menden Street, continued hearing notice of intent for proposed Lucille's Steakhouse within a 100-foot buffer zone to a BVW. Paul and Julie Rogers are the applicant. Representatives are Michael Dryden, Mallon Engineering Associates. We have had books on this, and we are now at the point where I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, who's online tonight for this? Or in the
Mike Dryden's here in person.
Mike, okay, thank you, Mike. So we did do a site walk. I was there with at least one other member back in the winter. And you've been to the planning board, I believe, or you're about to go to the planning board again?
We have received planning board approval.
Okay, I thought that might have been the case after the last meeting that we had to defer. So the commission members have had a chance to see the information in the portal. Hannah has drafted a order of conditions, special conditions. Hopefully the members have had a chance to review that. If they have questions about it, this is the best time to ask those. It seems pretty straightforward. The snow removal, the septic layouts, things seem to have been addressed properly. The site plan seems to be a pretty sound one to me. If there are no other questions or comments,
I just had a question if I could.
sure, absolutely.
So I actually haven't seen a copy of the draft and have not had an opportunity to read the special conditions.
Oh, sure.
So I was hoping that we could just briefly go through those as quickly as possible, just so I have an understanding of what's in there.
Hannah, could you share that? Do you have access to have that through Pam?
I am not on a device that
Okay.
can do that tonight, but maybe Kaya can.
Kaya, perhaps? Or Claudia, somebody to the rescue there on site? We're looking in the portal for the special order conditions for 85 Menden.
Paper copies with the
I
board.
brought a paper copy.
It should be in the portal.
Oh, there it is.
It's in the portal. It's just a question of whether it could come up on the screen so that if we want to run through it or have the applicant look at that. I apologize. I kind of thought you guys might have actually gotten a copy of that, but it was not long ago that was put in the portal, so it's just a timing thing, I think.
So general conditions are your standard conditions?
Yes.
So-
Yes.
So. Although. So conditions 1 to 20, those would be your, oh, no, these are all special conditions. Do we have
Yeah, yeah.
I-
Hannah,
Yeah,
let's
the
make
way-
some
pages of
more-
special conditions?
The way that the order of conditions, like the DEP document is, 1 through 19 is on the formal document,
Right.
or 20, I can't remember exactly the number, and then, so that's why the numbering starts at 20. It's the Bellingham written special order conditions.
Right. I just didn't realize we had 6 pages of conditions here, so this is actually gonna take me a little bit of time to review.
Okay, well, my suggestion is that you get the due time that you want to take to do that. If you're not in a particular hurry to have this approved potentially and signed at the next meeting, we can push it off for 2 meetings. That's certainly
No,
something.
we're very interested in closing this and
Okay, I'm not
getting
not
it the
pushing you.
vote,
I just,
so if we could table this and I could come back after the next item. if that
yeah,
would
I
work
think
for
we can pass this by, I think, and come back to you in a bit and give you time to review that. And
I would have happily gone through a page, but there's 6 pages here, so. I
Yes,
wanna make sure I understand.
That's understandable. Okay. Well, in the interest of time, I appreciate you being willing to do that. I will table this at this point in time. Do we need a motion for that? Anybody parliamentarian enough to know?
Yeah, I think we need to
Okay,
move.
I'll accept a
to
motion.
after the next hearing.
I'll accept a motion to table this discussion for 85 Menden Street until after the next hearing item has been reviewed and then come back to it. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Online, Mike, aye.
Thank you.
And Ariane, I.
Read quick.
Okay, I'm jumping right down to the next item. 159 Blackstone Street, continued hearing, notice of intent for septic replacement. Michael Savard, applicant, Bruce Wilson is the representative. Is Bruce in the room tonight? I don't see him online, but I'm not.
No, he's here.
Yes, okay.
Oh, yeah, he's.
So,
Russell Waldron, the wetland biologist that you wanted to ask a few questions to. He's online.
You want this set up on this side or on this side?
whatever works for the people in the room.
Right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear quite. It was a little garbled. Somebody's online that has some questions. Who was that?
So the wetland specialist, Russell Wall.
Okay, thank you. So we never were able to coordinate a time. Is that correct, Bruce? With that's when the person who delineated the wetlands line could be there.
We've been available. I did discuss and look at the site with one of the members. I had given my information to Hannah. I'm literally 2 minutes from the site.
I think the issue was that some of the members had seen in an earlier sidewalk that the flags, correct me if I'm wrong, Neil, I believe you were one of the people that spoke or somebody else there at the meeting, that the flags were literally right in the stream, which by the way, isn't really
Well,
shown.
let me clean you up on that. That is not a wetland flag. That was an auger point of the wetland auger hole. Russell is here to address that, but obviously the auger hole was in the wetland. I removed that flag for clarity if anybody went back there. The rest of the flags were checked and reflagged with blue flagging. But that was an auger hole, so obviously it would be in the wetland. And that's been removed for clarity, but I marked it on the revised drawings where the two auger holes were.
All right, so you want to summarize where you think we are, Bruce, at this point in time?
I remarked or, checked the flagging that's out there. I noticed the auger hole and figured that had to have been the point of contention. I did mark out a line 15 feet parallel to the endpoints of the siltation barrier that's marked out there with orange ribbon and stakes. In conversation with the client, there was discussion of being 15 feet. We were wondering if that was 15 feet from the siltation barrier or whether we could go 15 feet from the wetland line so that we do stay or maintain somewhat of a backyard for the property that's there. I've modified the plans, submitted and discussed them with Hannah, and one of the board members. We're showing 8 or 9 blueberry bushes to be planted in there, although any upland plant, if the board has something, would be suitable to put in there.
Right. Yeah, I think the answer to the question about 15 feet from the siltation, you said from the siltation barrier
Yeah,
versus
the wetland. 15 feet from the siltation barrier, or was it actually 15 feet from the BBW?
I think the wetland line.
Yeah, I believe we've always got a wetland line. Siltation fences could be put at different
Okay,
distances.
we've got a second. I brought both options here, so we had a chance to review them.
No, from the line.
Okay, all right. So that would put a bend in the fence. The flagging that's out there and staking, I can go and modify that if anybody wants to go look at it.
I mean, it looks a little harsh with that angle. We could probably find some sort of middle ground to kind of smooth that, make it look.
I know it's a shame to take away what little backyard there is.
Yeah,
If we could flatten out that one second,
Well,
have it go out
yeah.
and then come back in, I think it would look better as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll also be a shame to have the stream in the wetlands area that was already so negatively impacted continue to be so, but that's what we're working to do with the fence and the signage and the replanting, so.
I'll create a nice buffer.
Beyond that. Okay.
I didn't know if you had a question for Russell while he's sitting there online, if there's anything.
Well, let me ask the commission members if they have questions. Any commission members have questions for the consultant online?
Yeah, was that based mostly on veg or soils?
Both.
Oh,
Is there a reason that the stream is not actually shown as a stream? It flows. I mean, it's got a channel. It's not a trickle of water running across the top of the ground. It's got definitely some channelization and stuff over there. Is that a reason that it doesn't seem to be shown on the plan? Just curious. I mean, doesn't make no answer.
There is a bit of flow between the culvert and where it,
I mean, you can hear it, you can see it. It's not.
I have it on the plan now.
Okay,
It's been added to the plan.
okay, just curious. Okay, the commission members have additional questions about this. Those that have seen it, are they have any additional questions, clarifications you'd like to get raised?
What are we gonna stabilize, in and around under the blueberries, some kind of an upland / wetland mix?
What,
Or something to
like
stabilize.
a wildflower mix? Yeah, a wildflower mix.
Yeah, something.
More of an upland type of wildflower.
Yeah, because the soil's probably marginally hydric at that point, so we're probably gonna be more upland in that situation, so maybe something a little more uplandish, but just to stabilize it and.
I'll coordinate
and
with
vegetate.
Russell and we'll come up with a good seed
Okay,
mix.
yeah, just something, you're gonna have the plants, but then the rest of it's gonna be all disturbed soil, so.
I mean, the blueberry bushes do provide.
Yeah, but just until they
benefit, you wanna be
establish,
able
just
to-
to, just to kind of.
That's a long stretch. That's the long
Just to
stretch.
kind of
for-
stabilize that.
Yeah, it's a long stretch for 8 or 10 years, nothing in between, so definitely want to stabilize it.
Good to have
I think actually,
new ground
frankly, the
cover.
forsythia would have been great if it had been left there because that was like a wall. And it did hold the soil and everything too,
Put
and
that back if you-
obviously
I'd be
thriving,
willing to
but
put
that's,
that back.
we've gone past that point, I think, at this point.
No,
Okay,
this is
so
good.
you'll have that revised planting plan for us, Brian, by when? I'm sorry, Bruce, by when?
Oh, it's on the plan now.
Okay, because you talked about it would be tweaking, come up with a good mix. We want to make sure everything is accurate for.
Oh,
what-
no, sure. Okay, I'll add that and get that back to you in the next day.
Okay.
Russell,
Any
if it's in there, I
questions?
can add the note and get it.
And just come up with something to kind of.
Show the contour.
That was my one question. So the plan that we're showing here shows a distinct 15-foot, which is what the commission was talking about at the last meeting. So in this right-hand section here where it has the jog, you'd like that to just be flattened out a bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Realizing that may not be.
No, yeah. Well,
That's where the old shed
I
was.
think we can have
There will be some area that's less than 15.
a little bit over on that right corner, but we're getting the, yeah, I think.
Okay. I walked it a few times. It'll be fine. If you bring it in a foot or two, try to make it appealing,
Yeah.
under someone who lives there.
Want to pull it nice.
This was just to meet exactly what the
Yeah.
commission had asked
Yeah.
for, so, but
Then you see things and it's like, well.
Yeah.
You don't want the little placards on?
Yes.
Yeah, so we
with a
can get
split
those.
rail fence.
Now, is that something that we can get through the commission or?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have that.
We'll get, like,
Yeah. Reach out to, Tim and we can, make arrangements to get you some ads.
okay.
As many as you need for the post.
And that's just a barrier for the next homeowner. And,
I'm in and out of the town hall pretty frequently, so I'll check in with him.
Okay.
So you're just looking for 2 points on this, which would be straightening out or lessening that jog and then the planting mix between the blueberry bushes.
Yeah, the ground.
yeah, just some ground cover.
And I recall we had a discussion a little bit about, there was still some debris. In the
Yeah, I didn't
wetlands
want to
and-
go down, but.
Yeah, you don't want to go
Some
down,
stuff underneath that shed, so.
Yeah.
I did review the meeting, by the way, so you know, I couldn't make it.
No, it's okay.
But I will pull that stuff out. It was there prior. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we,
I don't know
it was an
what it
engine
is.
block that was completely grown in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
some sort of motor. Or
I'll
something.
show you where it
And
is.
there was a lot of plastic
Yeah.
debris that was covered over too.
We put a lot in we already put a lot in the trash.
bet.
It was,
I mean,
Unfortunately, over the years, people.
looks like they just
Yeah.
stuffed everything under the shed.
clean it up to help market it too. I
It's even
mean,
worse if there's a help.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And some of the disturbance, they did an uninformal Title V originally, so it's not like I went in there and my intention wasn't to put this commission in a tough way.
The old system was underneath a lot of some of the Pacifica that was disturbed. So I mean,
And we're still gonna have to decommission that, but naturally, we have an order from you guys and we're official, so.
Okay, any other questions from commission members? Any other points?
No, I think once we get that revised. plan, I think
I'll get that
we'll,
right back if
We'll
you
be,
could
we'll be ready to
close
move.
and-
I'd be
moving forward.
Okay.
So we would
let's-
be looking at order of conditions at the next meeting?
Yes, I believe
Hopefully.
that's the plan. If we get the information in a timely manner from Bruce for the final information,
Absolutely.
I think we should be able to have Hannah or support people to come up with an order of conditions and have that ready to be signed at the next meeting based on getting all the information. And I'll accept a motion to move this, to continue this hearing to the evening of May 8th at 7 PM for 159 Blackstone Street with the plan to issue and sign an order of conditions at that time. Any motion?
So moved, Neil.
Second, James.
Thank you. Any other discussion, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mike online.
Hi, Ariane online.
Thank you. Unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very
both.
well.
Thank you, gentlemen. Commission.
Okay, Michael, have you had enough time to review or do you need another?
I have.
You have, okay. So we will reopen and recontinue with the continued hearing for the notice of intent for 85 Mendon Street, which has been temporarily tabled in order to give the applicant adequate time to review the proposed order of conditions, special conditions. Having done so, any questions or comments, Michael?
I do have several that I'd like to go through, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
And again, I would have liked more time, but I'll make do. Starting on the first page, item number 23. I would think let me just make a general statement if I could first. For a project of this scale and the fact that we're out of the 50-foot buffer zone, I feel like many of these conditions are just overkill. I certainly would understand conditions like this if we were in a sensitive environment, intermittent stream crossing, wetland impact, much closer to the wetland. So let me start with 23. And again, this is not your standard condition. The general contractor shall hire an independent subcontractor, an engineer licensed to oversee reconstruction of the restaurant and stormwater management system, and a professional wetland scientist or individual who is certified in sediment and erosion control. To me, that just seems like an extreme overkill for a project of this magnitude.
so noted. Go ahead, continue, please.
I do see the requirement in the same paragraph to submit bi-weekly monitoring reports. We can certainly do that, but to hire somebody who's licensed and a professional wetland scientist, it just seems unnecessary in this case, and it's an unnecessary cost that my client's going to have to incur. You want to do all of them, or do you want to go one by one?
It's probably better to do one by one, just so we don't miss any details.
So are you filing an ENOI with the EPA and having to develop a report?
We are,
So you're already doing what we're asking you.
yes,
So
that is correct.
So I guess my question is, why is that an undue burden if you're already doing it?
Well, no, the reporting part under the SWIP is redundant, but hiring a professional wetland scientist.
Or individual who is certified at sediment and erosion control specialist, that's who is supposed to be doing your SWIP report.
Licensed to oversee reconstruction of the restaurant. So to your point, I would argue that it doesn't need to be in here because it's already covered under the EPA. So we can live with it. I'm just a little surprised that it's written the way it is. So I'm moving on to page number 2, item number 28. A minimum of 4 weeks prior to construction. I'd like to see that reduced if possible. And then it asks for a detailed sediment and erosion control plan. The plans that you have include detailed erosion and sediment control measures. So I would suggest that that's not needed.
Well, if you've already provided them, as James was just saying, then you already are doing it anyway, so I don't think you need to take it out if you're already doing it.
Well, this is a separate item. This says that 4 weeks prior, we shall provide a detailed sediment and erosion control plan. What I'm saying is we've already provided it.
Then you've already satisfied.
So there's nothing to provide.
So you've already satisfied the condition.
So why have it as a condition? It's just going to create confusion.
I believe what you should know is that this is a standard, fairly standard document that we issue for almost all projects, modifying it somewhat. And in this particular case, if there is something that is egregious in your view, via a cost or something that does make no sense, that's one thing. But if in fact you've already done all these things and it's just a matter of seeing them again, then that's not, I think, a point that we really want to go through point by point on these. So.
Okay, it's a waste of your time, but let me move on.
Sure.
And we're gonna submit things to you that you've already seen, so it's gonna be a waste of your staff's time when it's not necessary, but I guess I'm gonna just move on.
Just so you know, if you've already sent it to me, you don't need to take the time to resend it to me. It's already been done.
That's my point. Thank you, Hannah.
Okay, I'm not gonna waste my breath anymore. Prior to any land disturbance activities. So items and I asked this question at the outset, whether these are special conditions or boilerplate, and I guess I didn't understand, but items number 34 and number 35. 34 requires the professional engineer or sediment and erosion control specialist shall observe the erosion control subsequent to the installation and issue stamped written certification to the BCC, an agent confirming that all erosion controls were installed per the approved plans. To your point, that happens under the SWIP. The 35 then says the BCC agent shall be notified so the pre-construction site walk can be planned. The purpose of the site walk is to determine that the sediment and erosion control have been properly installed. Again, just belts and suspenders.
We always do that.
Item number 36, and I guess I'm not going to get anywhere with these, but item number 36 to specify how many linear feet of extra bales and cubic yards of extra materials on the site. That would seem to be a very generic thing that, again, would be tailored to the size of the project. I'm not completely hung up on that. Let's move to item number 38. This is where I'm very confused. Upon achieving proper evaluation and compaction, soil evaluations and percolation tests shall be performed and witnessed by the Board of Health. Are we talking about for the septic system? I'm extremely confused by this condition. We've already done test pits that are required for the Board of Health for the approval, design and approval of the septic system. I just need to understand what this means.
Hannah, do you have any clarification on that? I don't remember that particular item and I'm not able to call it up right now on my screen.
I took that from a previous similar project, but there was like a specific, if there's not a concern with the rest of the commissioners, I have no problem taking it off of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That one didn't apply, maybe.
I'd say we could strike that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take that.
Thank you. And that was item number what, 38?
If you may, I
Yes, 30.
was your Board of Health agent for the last 4 or 5 years. And whenever there was any drainage testing done, they had me witness as the soil evaluator for the town, just to be sure that everything was on the up and up, that the soils were classified right and groundwater was determined. So that's been kind of a standing operating procedure that it had us do the entire time I was here. I'm not sure that Dylan is up to speed for soil testing yet. You might be able to use the other agent, Steve Donatelli, to witness it, but usually it's, procedure for somebody to witness the testing for the drainage. Hope that clears.
If I could respond to that, I'm not aware of anywhere in your regulations that it requires witness testing for drainage. Had it been, or if it is in your regulations, or if it were, I should say, we would have done that when we did our initial test pits. So now we're being asked to go back and do another test pit program. We're nowhere we're.
Well, I believe Hannah already said she is okay with.
Yeah, I just want to rebut to what I just heard. That may have been a standing operating procedure for a long time, but it's certainly not my knowledge, required in the regulations. So I would again respectfully request that that be struck.
And that was number 39,
38.
not 38. I thought you just said 38 was the compaction.
The first one under during construction conditions, 38. So on page 4, it appears that some of the reason for the lengthy document is there's a lot of redundant comments that were just maybe pasted twice. So starting with item 44, the same thing we just talked about, same condition, 44 should be struck. 45 is redundant. If you look up ahead, again, I did this quickly, so I don't know exactly where it is, but it's already been touched upon. 46 is redundant. 47 is redundant. 48 is redundant. 49 is redundant.
Sorry, what, you had 44, 45, 46,
44
47 and
through 49.
40 through 49.
Yeah, are just repeated.
Like it was like a double paste from 38.
All right, Hannah, can you look at those, please?
Yeah,
Take those-
right. So I'm not on the correct advice to look at these, but are you saying that they are literally the exact same?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry, that was my bad.
And I think when we get to item number 50, we're new again. I don't have any issues.
Okay, but certainly if there's a duplication, we don't want to add that duplication, so we can work on editing that and taking that out. Any additional?
Yeah, just one last, on the last page, post-construction conditions, O&M plan for stormwater management system. We did touch on this in our drainage design, but tailored to account for its role in the functioning WRA2. Can someone explain to me what that is?
Wetland resource area 2, I assume, Hannah.
We only have one resource area, so they're not numbered. So maybe that just means wetland resource area.
I think
So
probably that's.
removals.
All right, I missed that. Could you repeat that?
So it's item number 54. O&M plan for stormwater management system under the northern parking lot should be tailored to account for its role in the functioning of the resource area, I would assume, and shall be employed post-construction. So are you asking for an additional O&M above and beyond what's already been provided? I just need some clarification on that.
Unless the commissioners say otherwise, the current O&M is fine.
Yeah, and I think the current OM is what we're looking for. I don't think we're looking for an additional one. Just that it goes into place after the system is put in place, obviously, that would make sense.
Sure. Yep. And then, of course, 55 is the final certificate of compliance, of course, that always applies. So
Okay,
those are my comments. I appreciate
Right.
you giving me some time to review them.
sure. So at this point in time, if I can summarize and tell me if I'm wrong there. Number 38 should be deleted because it is not necessary for the compaction and other information that was in that section. I'm gonna try to remember what it was. And 44 through 50 are redundant. I'm sorry, 44 through 49 are redundant and can be eliminated just because they're duplications by clerical error. And that's the essence of what you're looking for changes to the proposed order of
I think we
conditions.
need to, I think we need to look at the language in 54 too as well, Mike, just to clean that up and make sure that it's specific to this project and not just copied out of.
Sure, the WRA as opposed to WRA 1 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah, the north parking lot and all that, just
Okay.
maybe clean up that language a little.
All right, anything else, Michael?
That is it.
Okay. So Hannah, let me ask you logistically how you would like to handle this, since you're the person that would be taking the lead on making those changes and so forth, before we propose a continuation or a timing for this.
I mean, if you guys wanted to close it, I know I can definitely make those minor changes within 21 days. So I have no problem with moving this forward.
Okay. Any commission members have any other questions or concerns about the order of conditions?
Nope.
All right, so I will accept a motion to continue this hearing to You said within 21 days, Hannah, so you want to do the 22nd? Ready for signing?
She was
Oh,
saying,
No,
close the
no, she was saying to close.
Oh, to
Yeah,
close.
you close it because once
Yeah.
you close, I have 21 days to give
That's
him
right.
the.
I'm sorry. I missed on that. Okay, sorry, it was a glitch. Okay, yeah, so I'll accept the motion to continue this to the evening of May 8th, at which point in time, between now and then perhaps, and if not shortly thereafter, we will have an order of conditions modified, corrected, and prepared.
Still not on the same
Signing.
page.
No, Mike,
I'm sorry.
I think the motion is to close the hearing tonight.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. To close the hearing tonight, I'll accept the motion to close the hearing tonight. And then issue an order of conditions within whatever time Hannah can get it done. That makes sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I'll accept the motion, someone.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you, no.
Second it.
Thank you, Jan. Don. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Mike online.
Ariane online, aye.
Okay. All right, thank you, Michael.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Good luck. All right, we are moving along to 0 Maple Street, Maplegate project, notice of intent, continued hearing for the installation of electrical line as part of the proposed solar array parcel 3 project on the above referenced subject parcel located within a 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. We have had an order of conditions in the portal. We've had a couple of meetings about this. We, I think, pretty thoroughly covered it at the last meeting. Daniel Serber is the applicant and Daniel Wells is the representative. Dan, you have any additional input, comments, questions? I see Greg's there too.
Yeah, I'll see if Greg wants to open it up with any comments.
Yeah, thanks, Greg Devona from Bowler on. So yeah, we have had the draft, I guess I would say, special conditions for the past couple weeks, so we've had plenty of time to review it. Generally speaking, we're fine with pretty much all the conditions, but we do have a couple clarity items that we wanted to bring up. I think there's a total of 3. If we can just quickly go through them and just add some clarification, and
Just want to do it verbally, or do you need to screen share there?
I can probably just do it verbally. If it helps, I can pull up the screen share if that.
Let's just try verbal. If it's 3
Sure.
straightforward ones, let's just go for it.
So in the first one was actually item number 31 under the pre-construction. There's a note in there about providing an invasive species management plan, and it's more just a clarification that we had. We have some notes on our plans that we talked about in prior meetings about the invasive species management, and we called out the area of where the work would be done and how far it would extend beyond the limit of improvements. And I was just clarifying, do our plans cover that need, or is there a separate invasive species management plan that we're expected to provide beyond what's shown on our drawings?
Good question. I don't have an immediate response because I don't remember the exact scope of it. If it covered how far around the area of the impact were
So,
you?
yeah, so our entire project had roughly only about 1,500 square feet of impact within the buffer zone, and we were doing an additional 10 feet beyond that area on all sides. So if they just invasive species within 10 feet beyond our area of work, that would be cleaned up as well.
Okay. All right. Any commission members have any input beyond the scope, that being 10 feet beyond the actual impact area?
No, I think as long as they, because this is an NOI, right? So as long as when they go for their COC, we have like almost an as-built plan sort of for where that limit of work was and what was found and what it may have been replaced with. I think that would be nice.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know we had other orders of, conditions noted on the plans about staking out the limits first and everything before the work got started. So I think that would be easy enough for us to define the work beyond that. The next one down was item number 34. That has to do with the replacement of trees. We did talk about this at the prior meeting, that I went out there and identified there were 4 trees that were larger than a 6-inch diameter that would be coming out, and then we proposed basically actually a 1-to-1 replacement. We showed where 4 more shade trees could go back onto the plan, but the current order of conditions talks about a 2-to-1 replacement. So I just wanted to clarify, is the expectation that we have to find spots for 4 more trees, or can we just adjust that to say the replacement as noted on the plans that were presented to the board?
Commission members have input on that? What do you think? The area
I
is,
think based on our bylaw, I'm thinking that might have been an error where they took that as 2-to-1 wetland replication, because if the plans say 1-to-1, then
No, I'm good with 1-to-1 on the trees.
yeah, the area is fairly heavily wooded, and I don't think you'd
Yeah.
have an easy time
Trying to-
putting 4 more trees in.
Trying to
and
jam,
6
trying to
feet,
jam
so,
4 more trees in might not be.
yeah. Based on my sidewalk, I would recommend against that and just do it 1-to-1 replacement.
Perfect, appreciate that. And then the last 2, which actually are kind of the same issue, but they're just noted back to back in item 41 and 42. It just talks about basically all the construction work happening outside of the 100-foot buffer. The only issue is our entire scope of work is within the 100-foot buffer. Once you get beyond 100 foot, you're actually out into Maple Street. So any machinery, when they bring the trucks in or anything that they're going to do, they're already going to be in that 100-foot buffer. So I guess I would just ask that maybe we add the language to the extent feasible on those 2 conditions if we want to leave them in there, because I just know they're going to be within that area that we've called out on the plans.
Yeah, that's obviously logistically impossible to not work within the area that you have to work. So I think that not taking them out completely, but doing a, not say compromise, but a recognition of the fact that you are going to be impacting the area and doing it as minimally as possible, even if that means you're just driving the equipment to the same spot and doing the same thing, but you're just making everybody aware that you're aware of it, is probably prudent. What do the commission members think?
Well, so 41 says to the extent feasible. So.
Oh,
think that
okay. I
covers
didn't
it.
catch
Oh,
that.
sorry. So yes, so we're just recommending, that's a good point. We're just recommending that same type of language get added to 42, where it just talks about
Do
the
you plan on?
areas outside of the 100-foot buffer.
Do you
just to
plan on
say-
storing equipment overnight inside the buffer zone? Is that what you're saying?
I think once they set up within their little area of improvement, they'll probably have equipment that will stay there. We do have a concrete pad that's going to be, curing for a number of days. They'll have the equipment set up for doing the jack and boring work. So that won't be like that won't be a setup and take down all within the same day. They'll leave that there.
Sure. Makes sense. Does that answer your question, James or Don, whoever was asking? I couldn't see. Who was-
Yeah, I guess I would say if we're, so for 41, it says we're gonna have adequate erosion controls installed. I think if we're gonna have any equipment, especially those with oils or fuels, that we have, either booms or, like one of those catch rags that goes under any fueled equipment overnight. Cause I mean, doing
Makes sense.
and storage outside of buffer zone is pretty common. I understand there's site constraints, but I think with the site constraints, you should be looking to do some additional
Protective measures.
protective measures, yeah.
Okay, Dan and Greg, can you guys come up with some appropriate terminology and or equipment descriptions that would provide protective materials under the equipment, around the equipment, without making it overly complicated or burdensome? But you got the intent. There must be stuff out there that would do the trick for stuff that's stored outside right in the middle of a sensitive area for a period of a couple of days. It's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Can you come up with some wordage for that and provide it to Hannah so we can incorporate that in the?
Yeah, I would think so. I'm sure we can work on some language to agree to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll figure out a solution for that.
Okay. Those 3 points it, or anything else?
Yeah, I think that was it. Dan, were you comfortable with everything else? I think everything else worked for me.
Yeah, I think that covered everything for me.
Okay. Commission members, additional questions or points?
Nope.
All right, I guess, are we looking for a close on this one too, Neil? Help me out here, I'm getting a little fuzzy. Close or just continue to issue an order of conditions down the road? I think we're ready to close on this.
I think if we're just like editing conditions.
Yeah, I think we would need to, check with Hannah to see if she feels that she can be able to make the changes if we took a vote tonight to close, if she could make the changes to this as well.
Well, she's gonna need to get something from Greg and Dan about the stuff underneath the trucks and so forth. The other two, I think we're okay.
Right.
But
Yeah, why don't we push it till the 8th?
okay, so I'll accept the motion.
She can start with the order, obviously.
Sure, that makes sense, Hannah?
Making the tweaks.
Yep.
Okay,
As time allows, of course, Hannah.
yes, when you get.
I mean, is there a possibility if we could get something to Hannah quickly, give her the option to? It would be, you know, one sentence or two.
I think if you add the information to her very promptly and she is able to incorporate it and have it ready for signing on the 8th, we wouldn't be done doing anything before the 8th anyway. Then you could have it ready on the 8th. So that's on you guys if you can get it to Hannah and she can modify what is basically almost a done document anyway, but by adding that additional language, unless something stands out as making no sense to her that you send to her, but that's on you guys if you want to push that along. I'm amenable with that, but the commission members have any other?
No, we don't do contingent, so I think let's continue to the 8th and we can sign and close on the 8th.
Yeah, that's
That won't really delay that. That will be within the same time frame anyway,
right.
So that won't cause any delay.
So you good on that, Dan? Greg, you can get that information to Hannah and Hannah will work on that. I'll accept a motion to move this to continue this hearing for 0 Maple Street, Maplegate to the evening of May 8th at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Thank you, Neil. Second, Don, I guess.
Seconded, Don.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mike online.
Hi, Ariane online.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Right,
Thank you. Good night.
Night. Next item on the agenda, Bruce, you're still in the room, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, you're up, 50 Farm Street, notice of intent, new hearing. We have no information on this that I know of. It's a septic replacement at 50 Farm Street. That's all the information I have. Have you provided any documentation to Hannah or anybody on the commission? Or
I mean, other than submit the submission, nothing different. I mean, it's.
did we get something in the portal, Hannah, that I missed, or Claudia? I mean, I didn't see anything in the portal for this.
I didn't receive anything, any documents.
So Bruce, what is it that you think you submitted to us? Because we don't think we have anything.
No, there is stuff. Sorry. I mean, that was right when I was disappearing, guys. So that
Okay,
there
sorry.
definitely was a hard copy.
Okay, well, we can hear the proposal tonight. We obviously, without documentation or information to look at other than what we're seeing tonight from Bruce, we'll just be hearing it for the first time, which is okay. Just want to make sure we weren't missing something on site. That's fine, Hannah. You have a perfectly good reason.
This is pretty straightforward, simple. The septic upgrade, there's a septic tank currently in the back that reaches to a pit that's no longer capable of passing Title V for the sale that's there. In order to meet the depth of groundwater requirements, we ended up testing up in the front yard, which is a little bit higher. The property has a slope on the side and it's a walkout basement in the rear. So we'll be taking the existing tank out and replacing it with a new Title V 50 tank and a pump chamber and pumping it up to a leach bed up in the front yard. There's a nice tree line and grass right at the edge of where it drops down into the wetland area. So we'll put a filtration barrier of a storm water and silt fence. There's good access coming down the driveway for the tank truck to get in there, so it should have little bit of a disturbance, but very simple to get the tanks replaced in there. And then the soils were adequate so that we don't have to bring in any sewer gravel in, the good gravel that's there is at the proper depth, so that the system will be, just remove the topsoil, put the system in and cover it back up, so it'll be a fairly quick install. Don't have the DEP number yet, which is very typical of them, but I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Wetlands were flagged by Zachary, our wetland consultant that's in-house. It's pretty much at the toe of the slope that's there. Report was submitted with the submission. If anybody wants to do a site visit or something, let me know. I'd be glad to, jump out again. I literally live on Elm Street, down the street, so it's real simple to get there. Just so the commission knows, I was a commissioner in Renton for 9 years and do delineate and have all the classes. I just don't like all the paperwork, so I try to get the consultant to do it, but very familiar with that and very familiar with a lot of application work. But again, this is pretty simple. Unfortunately, it didn't pass Title V on the conveyance, so it needs to have an upgrade. You have any questions or concerns or?
How close is your furthest limit of disturbance to that wetland?
Would be,
It's pretty tight.
it'd be where the tank work would be, it's a matter of crushing the tank and putting in 2 new tanks.
Or how far is that from the edge of the well?
From the edge of the wetland or from the siltation barrier?
No, from the edge of the wetland.
Well, it looks like.
It's probably like 45 feet. But you can see the 50-foot buffer is just out between the tank and the foundation. That's usually a fairly quick.
About 40 feet, closest point.
You
My
got the
my scale.
elevated
My
pencil.
scale, yeah, this is calibrated, right, right.
But typically, a tank install is fairly quick. They excavate and the truck brings it in and it can be backfilled immediately.
And it's gonna be a pump system?
Yes.
Is it gonna take up roughly the same footprint, same size system?
Well, it's, the other system was I think it was a pit, wasn't it, Zachary? Yeah, it was a pit, which they don't allow anymore.
In the back?
In the backyard, so the tank and the pit will be filled with sand.
Yeah.
As part of the decommissioning.
The size of the new system that you're putting.
The new system is gonna be a leach bed. It's like 28 feet long by 16 feet wide.
Yeah, 16 by 28.
Yep.
Okay.
Fairly standard system.
And raised up just a little?
No, it's right into the ground, right at the parent material level. Everything worked out great on this one. It was nice. You like it when
Every
it
once in a while, huh?
Yeah, we get lucky once in a while, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any sense, Bruce, when you'll get the DEP number? Because you can't do it.
I called Judy, but she didn't answer and I left a message. I'm hoping that I see that in the next day or two. If we could make arrangements to maybe have the order conditions ready for the next meeting. I don't foresee anything that she would get hung up on.
What do you have proposed for, you said silt fence?
Silt fence and a straw wattle. I like the combination because the straw wattle keeps the stuff from getting under the flap usually.
All right. Any other questions, comments from the commission members? You're seeing it on paper. I can't see it online, but I'll take your word for it that you guys have checked it out. Seems pretty straightforward.
No, it's very straightforward.
So based on the need for DEP number, but the request of the applicant to proceed with preparing the order of conditions and approving the project, what is the pleasure of the commission?
Well, we have to continue because we can't.
Right, I mean,
close without the
continue,
DEP.
obviously, yeah, right, continue, but is that the pleasure of the commission? If so, I'll accept a motion to move the, sorry, to continue this notice of intent for the septic replacement of 50 Farm Street to the evening of May 8th.
Can we jam, how much stuff are we jamming in on the 8th?
Well, a lot of these things are just signatures. I don't,
Hearing. But we're hoping to close 2 of them that night, so.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not
I mean, if I'm more than 10 minutes shooting.
Oh, don't tempt me, Bruce.
Yeah. Put me on.
So we're still waiting for some lucky person there to make the motion.
So moved, James.
Thank you.
Seconded, Don.
Thank you, Don. All in favor? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mike online.
Mike is like,
Hi, Ariane online.
Thank you. All
Great,
right.
thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Last, next item on the agenda, I want to say last, but not quite.
Not quite.
Septic replacement, 1092 South Main Street. Ruth Briggs is the applicant, and Paul DeSimone, Colonial Engineering, is the representative. Again, this is a new hearing. We have a local filing number. Do we have a DEP number yet, Paul?
Hiya, Paul. How you doing, guys?
Paul, do we have a new DEP number yet?
No, I do not have a number. I looked
Okay.
at today. They're real slow. You know, it's what you do about this.
I assume this is a failed system. Is that right, Paul?
I'm sorry, Mike?
Is this a failed system? I assume it is.
Yes, okay, so, 1092 South Main. System is in the back, it's likely, it's no likely on here, I don't know if you guys can see it or not. Existing system into the 25-foot buffer zone. That's the existing one, that's easy. So this is a 110% improvement. We're using an Elgin type system, it's an alternative system because of the high water table. We tried to dig a test hole in the front yard, thought we maybe could pump it up and around into the front. We dug down about 8 feet. We didn't even get to we found a buried A layer down about 8.5 feet. And then we had another 30 inches of B layer below that. We couldn't even do a perk test. The material below that was all clay. So we got a good perk in the back. We'll go with the alternative. We got a small retaining wall on the right-hand side. We got some grading into the 50-foot buffer. The system is outside the 50-foot buffer, but we do have some grading into the 50-foot buffer. It's about 37 and a half feet off.
How many square feet is going to be impacted, Paul?
I'd have to look at the notice. It's in the notice. I don't have that on the plan at all.
Oh, I saw.
Is that currently, what is currently in this area? Grass?
Trees, scrubs, and vines all over the trees. It's kind of a mess. It's all overgrown. Again, the original system's in the 25-foot buffer.
Where's the existing?
You can see it lightly here.
Okay, I got it. Okay, thank you.
And here's the existing tank. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Again, we really want to go on the front yard, but that wouldn't work. So we'll go with the alternative, which is only, it needs 2 feet to water table because of the treatment of the pillows. You know, those things, those Elgins are like a pillow with the pipes on top. And that will clean the effluent going through before it gets into the ground. So it's an approved DEP design. And I'm pretty sure the Board of Health's all set with it. I haven't heard from them, but again, I don't have a DEP number, which kind of sucks. But, and we're proposing 4 monuments on the 25-foot buffer. Okay, conservation posts. Other than that, like I said, I wish we could have put it in the front yard, but it just wasn't gonna happen.
All fill?
Yeah. We were digging down, it was nice sandy gravel. I'm thinking, oh, this is great. We get down about 8.5 feet and we saw a buried A layer, so it was all about 8.5 feet of fill on top. Nice stuff, but we would have to remove all that. Get below that, go
Get
to
through
the
the
A,
flag.
get the A and the B, and remove all that. And once we pulled up some of that soil in the C layer down below in the front, it was like clay, so that wouldn't have perked anyways. So that's why we had to go out in the back where the old one is. Didn't have much choice.
It's still an improvement because we're pulling it back
Well,
further
it's
than the old one, and it's a more modern system, so.
Well, just the treatment alone, it's 100% better. Just
Yeah.
to treat the
We're getting some more distance and we're getting much better treatment, so that's a win there anyway.
So we're calling for,
Was this a failed Title V,
yeah,
or was it, sale of the house, or
yep. Well, Mrs. Briggs died, so she,
estate? Okay.
so it's, I wish we could have put it in the front, but really nothing to do. So we're calling for silt fence and, straw wattles. Usually these systems, it takes about a week from start to finish, depending on how the Board of Health. They're pretty good. You guys are good here. Come out for inspections, dig out the water hole, come out for inspections. Steve Donatelli, he's right on top of these things. And from start to finish, it's about a week, sometimes less. So if we can get it in the next month, loam and seed done. My only comment would be on the erosion barrier, if we can extend that to cover the rest of the, up until the end of the property line.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's, you're using that as construction access.
Right, because on this side of the house here, it's very steep. We didn't get the contours on that side. The machine tried to come down this way and it almost tipped over.
What, on the right-hand side?
Yeah.
So if we can extend that line on the left, so that way if there's any rutting or anything. we
Yeah,
can-
just run it over, because, in case the,
Yeah, no problem.
choose it up.
Yep. But that's gonna be our access on the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
inside.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
run it-
little more gradual going.
Run,
into
run
the
that
back.
over just in case.
Sure.
So it sounds like you have a couple of things you still need to do, Paul. Revise the erosion control as per the members' request there. You're gonna need a DEP number and you're gonna need the Board of Health signing off before we can move forward to get final approval. Although the system seems to make sense to the members, I take it in the room.
Yeah, I think we just need.
Yep.
We
Yeah,
need, we need the
again-
plan, the plan updated, you need a DP number, you need Board of Health. So,
Yeah,
I
the
mean, you get a
DEP
lot of-
number, I
You
don't.
get a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really. So.
Additional questions from
Revise the
members?
plan, and I'll probably have Board of Health, I talked to them, Monday, and, because they had a meeting Monday night. And I said, are you guys gonna be good for Monday night? He's young, he's not too good yet, so. He's a good kid. I mean, he's all right, I like him. I'll do that, we'll get the approval, I'll change the plan, and then pray I get a number, because, no one's in the house right now, so it's not, even though the system has failed. And I noticed when we were out there that it was, bubbling up to when it was working, when people were in the house, so. There's no one in the house, so there's really no danger to the wetlands right now, because it's not coming out of the ground, it's storming.
All right, based on those three comments, or the three items, I'll accept the motion unless the commission members have any other questions or comments. Accept the motion to continue this septic replacement for 1092 South Main Street to the evening of May 8th. Because it's such a popular night, 7 p.m.
Second, Neil.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion, questions? All in favor? Aye. Line.
You guys still not taking the green cards? Good.
Haven't yet.
You pull up your place with.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm late. I also voted aye.
Okay, thanks.
Couldn't find the
Unanimous vote.
unmute.
Thank you, Ariane. Thank you. Okay, so it's a unanimous vote to continue. Thank you, Paul.
I just make another comment, for you guys, I had a site walk with DEP last week over behind Rosewood. With Judy Schmidt.
Not, wait a minute, Susan, you said 9 Rosewood. Can you clarify the
Behind-
dimension street?
Behind Rosewood?
Yeah, my apologies on that. I was unable to make that. I had planned to be there.
That's okay.
It was
We
definitely
walked
fancy
us-
that day. so.
That's okay, I was there, Judy Schmidt from DEP, she had another girl that was, the agent from Sturbridge who just joined DEP was there. And of course, my wetland scientist, Karen. So we walked the site for about an hour and a half. She made a couple of comments on a couple of flags, but not a big deal. I know she was trying to get a hold of Hannah for some comments that was at our previous meetings. And, oh, congratulations, Hannah. But, so we're just waiting on the state now. Okay.
So you're waiting for the state to do what, Paul?
Well, they're gonna come up with either a superseding order of conditions or whatever, waiting on her. She was a little bit mad that, you guys, no one showed up, but
She calmed down after a while.
All right, so your applicant is still not wanting to pay any additional fees for a peer review, just to be clear, that has not changed.
That,
Okay.
that's correct. That was
Even
the
though
denial.
that is
of
something that is jurisdictional, we believe, in our point. Okay. We'll have to follow up with Judith and see what her thoughts are on this and if she has additional questions and so forth, but she's seen the site and
Yes,
so she would understand if we perhaps stated that we believe we are entitled to have a peer review of the wetlands flagging or any other issues on the site. Neil or anybody else there have any questions or comments about that comment by Paul about Chase Street? No? Okay.
went fine.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Last item on the official agenda before we get to other business is new hearing, notice of intent off Lake Street, Prospect Hill Village, in quotes. Construction of a 156 unit townhouse development, which will impact bordering vegetated wetland, bank, land under water bodies and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront area. Louis Petrosi is the applicant, Paul McManus, Ecotech is the representative. At the request of, I'm going to read a statement here briefly. At the request of the applicant, we are going to continue the public hearing without any additional comment for Prospect Village until May 29th at 7 p.m. So we are opening this public hearing, but we are moving to immediately continue it to the 29th. This is the advice of both our legal counsel and at the applicant's request. It coincidentally happens to be both the same thing. This latter option will be consistent with the consent of applicant continuous provisions under section 2047-12B4 of the Bellingham bylaws. So this project will be reviewed back on May 29th at that point in time. Commission members have any questions or comments?
My only question is, has he submitted anything to us?
No, we have not received anything yet.
Okay,
We have received a request to potentially look at peer review and start that process, but since we have no information to have a peer review, even provide a proposal for it, the scope of work, all I will say is that any previous peer review information that was gathered or reports and so forth that were done for the previous project that was being reviewed on that site and denied subsequently will be taken into consideration when it's appropriate to do so, if it's appropriate to do so down the road. Certainly work that's been done to peer review, we don't waste that if it's valid, and down the road we'll see what happens. But no, we have no new information on this project at all, and that's why the applicant has asked to postpone it and continue it. Sorry. So
So the filing has been made, but no information other than the filing paperwork itself has been submitted.
correct, and the applicant has requested the continuation, which they're allowed to do so, and advice of town council, that is what I would recommend we do tonight, which is just to simply continue the public hearing to the May 29th at 7 p.m. And if there's no other questions, I'll accept a motion to do that. If you have any questions, please ask.
Well, I just.
Motion.
I would just like to comment that technically that's not really a valid submission. It was submitted without any supporting paperwork, but
Right, I recognize that. That's why I asked town council's opinion, and they just
want to
basically.
get that on the record that was not real. That's not a valid submission if it was submitted without any supporting paperwork.
Right. Okay, noted for the record
I'll make a motion.
to continue
Do
the
the
public
same.
hearing to May 29th at 7 p.m. for
Yes.
Prospect Hill Village. Okay. We have a motion, second, anyone?
Second, James.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
Mike
Hi,
Conroy.
Ariane online. Oh,
Okay. that's
Ariane, me
unanimous.
too.
Okay, thank you. Unanimous. Okay, moving as quickly as we can to the other business. It's getting late. I appreciate everyone. 16 Irene Court. I'm asking either Kai or Claudia or Hannah to let us know what the tree removal on 16 Irene Court is about.
Does Hannah have more information on that?
I have no idea what it's about. I assume somebody's taking some trees down or they want to take trees down on Irene Court.
Yes. I am blanking on which person I talked to before I left about this, but I do remember him saying he would be here in person, so I'm not or on Zoom. I'm not sure.
I see a couple of people, Lynn and Angela and Adele, a couple of Dales, or Dale and iPhone. If any of you are here for Irene Court, please speak, identify, and unmute and identify yourself, and we'll be glad to hear you. Okay, not hearing anyone.
Well, I can say just in general what I have been giving people advice on every time they call me, and I know there's at least 2 people that I spoke to in the past month about this, that what the process we've been doing for tree removal is just showing photo evidence, potentially doing a site visit, and them using an arborist to give us document proof of the health of the trees and in the potential process of cutting them down if necessary. So, yep.
The last correspondence that took place was with an Evan Spitzer, and he was asking for an arborist that we recommended, but that was the last email from him, and that was on April 2nd. So I'm not sure what they decided to do from there.
Does anybody in the Concom remember the name of the town arborist? I think we still have one on staff, don't we?
Michael Burr. But I don't know if he's really taking on things more. And I'm pretty sure, actually, Claudia, thanks for bringing that up. I did tell him that that we didn't have anyone specific, but there is a town arborist.
Okay.
So the arborist, they were looking for to get a sign off that it's legit to take the tree down that they want. I assume these are on Concom land adjacent to their property. I talked to someone today about that on something similar on High Street. I'm sorry, not on High Street, on
High Ridge.
High Ridge. And I'm gonna ask Tim or somebody to go do a site drive by. It sounds like a couple of dead trees leaning over their house, some wind damage potentially, and fear of coming down, and told him pretty much the same thing Hannah just did, which is you get pictures, you show us the need, somebody sites visits, if it's legitimate safety or property or personal health safety concern, we could potentially advance it to an emergency treatment, but we would have to still go through the process of making sure that a licensed contractor is taking care of it properly, not impacting the wetlands, leaving us tree stumps if that's appropriate, et cetera, and that there is a legitimate need for it. So I'm going to ask Tim. Tim, are you still there in the room, or is he gone?
I think he's in his office, to be honest.
He's gone. Okay.
He's gone.
That's fine. I'll reach out to him electronically. I told the person about that, and he was fine with that. He did ask, do we have a tree company we recommend? And I said, no, I'm not going to recommend a company. You feel there's plenty of companies out there, and he can get their plan to get a proposal for tree removal. This will probably be the same kind of thing at Irene Court. So we can follow up on that, Hannah, and figure out who that person was and what they need. Candlelight Lane properties. Yeah, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Angela's here. So she actually sent me an email. I saw it at like 5 o'clock if she wants to recap that to the commissioners. But essentially, someone on Candlelight Lane, which is Tom Wilson. He came in a month or so ago, concerned about his property in the rain gardens, and basically every rain, there's lots of flooding. So I'll let Angela take over the summary of that email she sent me.
Thanks, Hannah. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Angela Conforti. I'm general counsel for the applicant, or I guess there's no application in front of you right now, but I'm general counsel for South Center Realty, the developer of Lakeview Estates. As Hannah mentioned, the homeowner on Candlelight Lane, this lot 55, it was brought to the commission's attention some flooding in parcel C that was spilling out into the rain gardens and kind of leaving a pretty deep flood, I guess you could call it, in those rain gardens. It does recede in 24 to 48 hours. However, it's probably something that needs to be looked at initially. Gary Aaron Hellman, who Dale McKinnon is a professional engineer at Gary Aaron Hellman. He's with us tonight. And Mark Arnold of Goddard Consulting, excuse me, they went out and looked at the site and just kind of surmised that the winter conditions, frozen ground, saturated ground would be a contributing factor to those rain gardens and parcel C holding a substantial amount of water. After some pushing from other town staff and Hannah, we did go out and conduct a few more site walks, and finally Dale and Mark were out there this past Friday, saw some water flowing through the open space parcel C. They followed the stream of water and ended up at a pipe that is daylighted into the wetlands. It's clean water, it's groundwater, we know that, but that's pretty much all we know at this point. We are scheduling a camera truck to survey the pipe to try to figure out where the other end is, if it's a foundation drain or draining from some utility in Candlelight Lane. We just don't know at this point. Hopefully we'll have some more information at the commission, maybe by your next meeting. We'll identify the source. We also need to take a better look to see if that pipe is actually a contributor to the flooding issue, or if it's separate. We do believe there is some connection, or it at least contributes a little bit. But I talked to Mark Arnold today, and he was kind of the opinion that you're going to see some flooding in that area, in the wintertime when there's heavy rain events due to the frozen ground and whatnot. But if there's a solution that we can come to based on the source of the water and just identifying any potential remedies to alleviate that flooding a little bit, we just don't know right now. So I sent a video to Hannah earlier today. I don't know if the commission would be able to see that. I know you guys are in receipt of Mr. Tom Wilson sent the photos to the commission back in January, and I think he sent another round of photos recently. So I think you're familiar with the flooding issue. Like I said, I wish we could provide some more answers for you tonight, but we are investigating.
Very good, thank you.
That's a helpful summary. Thanks. Does anyone else have any additional questions or input?
We have a member of the audience would like to.
Yes, go ahead.
Tom Wilson, 26 Candlelight Lane.
There he is, yep.
I'm not trying, last thing I want to do is stir a pot. I'm not well versed in all this, but my belief is, understanding is, one rain garden is not supposed to, if they're done properly, come over into my thing. So there's 4 properties at the low lying points. If you look at the way you come down the hill, you come down from Candlelight Lane, you come down either way, there's 4 houses that get flooded. Like, not the houses, but it's just overrun. The rain gardens don't work. Ours works, if anything, ours works the best. Ours, everything comes into ours and then into the yard. And it's not like 100-year storm of the winter. I'm not a genius, but this, what? There should be some, if this is downhill, there should be some type of barrier at the low-lying points, because there's somehow, some places don't have rain gardens, my understanding. If you look, I asked a couple of my neighbors, and I didn't get to do it yet, but I said, do you mind if I come on your property and look at, they're further up the hill? And I asked one lady, and she said, it's her mother's house, and she's getting out of the car, and she says, oh, you talking about the creek? Yeah. It's not supposed to be a creek. It's even the fact, whatever it is, the rain gardens, look at them, they're disgusting, they're not working. And it's not frozen, it's not frozen ground. It's not frozen ground. If you look in there, it's just even all winter, you could just see wet. So it's just, I don't know, it just. I don't know anything, I'm just putting it out there. The two
If
high.
I could
This, good.
If I could just add one point I failed to mention, which is I think is important. The pipe that we found is located opposite parcel C. So the pipe is behind lots 46 and 47, which is 7 and 5 Northern Lights Way. So that pipe is daylighting into the high side of that. It's a higher elevation than where Tom's house is. However, at Tom's house, there's sort of, I'm told, like a natural spillway into those rain gardens. And just a preliminary assessment from our site supervisor is that there probably needs to be some sort of berm built up over there to contain so that parcel C contains more water. Right now it's only holding I think Dale said maybe 4 or 5 inches of water, but with a berm, we could try to build that up some more, contain the water into the parcel C, and then overflow above that berm would spill into the rain gardens. But obviously, that would be less volume than what you're seeing now.
Can I finish speaking what I'm just offering I'm not a scientist or anything like that. You come and you look at it, there's two high points. And the 4 houses, everything just spills into there, and it's all the time. The person at 2 houses over, it's crazy. I mean, I wait for alligators and stuff to come. I swear to God, I feel like I'm living in Louisiana. Why not cut into the low points where, like a berm, like I said, but not some goofy berm. Why not, if you dig, say you're gonna put a foundation in, right? Dig down where those your wooden fences are. Dig down, put forms, and build a wall, like a little cement wall on the lower points, and that'll protect it. And it will definitely alleviate it. And that's the only thing I say. I watch it every day. I live it every day. The trees are falling down in there. They're broken. Someone come by and cut them. They left everything there. And, instead of removing what fell, it's just, I don't, but my opinion is a real berm, or like a little seawall type thing to protect everybody's property because of the.
Mr. Wilson, I have a question for you, Mr. Wilson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not dismissing the fact that the winter is a frozen ground factor for drainage of any sort, but what is it like in the summertime when there's rain with the rain gardens? Do you still have that rainfall effect, waterfall effect, or is it more absorbed properly?
You get it in the summertime too, but it does dry up quicker.
Okay.
But it's not, sometimes it sits there for days.
Right. Well, our limitations are that we didn't design the systems. We approved systems that were put in place there for rain gardens and the area C, but the idea of having Angela and others doing some research on this may lead us to potentially work on some sort of options to improve things. I can't promise anything because we really have limits on what we can and can't do jurisdictionally. We aren't probably going to be constructing walls and so forth, but I'm not going to ruling it out because I don't know what the town might be willing to do to help. However, we need to know about this stuff.
If you want your bond back, you want to turn over the thing to the town, you're gonna do something.
Mike, can I say,
go ahead, Ariane.
did we approve it or did they get a superseding order from Mass DP who approved it? Because I think that's what.
That's a good question.
It was a superseding order.
Yeah. Okay. In which case, when we have even perhaps less impact on that.
Mass DP is building the wall.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Wilson. I appreciate.
No, I
you bringing this
appreciate it.
to
Thank
us.
you,
And-
everybody. I
And we
hope I
will
wasn't
continue
earlier on the
to
line.
listen for Angela as you get more information. Please share it with us and Hannah. And
Absolutely.
we'll just,
Thank you. I do appreciate everybody's input. Angela, thank you. I do appreciate.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. We're looking into it, Tom. If there's something we can do to make it better, we absolutely will. But
No, I
the next
do-
step would be to camera the drain line, figure out where that water's coming from, and hopefully we can have answers for the commission at their next meeting.
And I take it that pipe's not on the plans.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
No, this is Dale McKinnon. No, it isn't. And I hope to meet with Mr. Wilson after what he's saying. I want to make sure I understand at least what he's saying, and we'll go forward with something that will fix this issue.
that'd be
Angela
great.
and Dale, can I ask a quick question? I'm very familiar with your guys' project in Uxbridge, the Bafford project. Are you gonna be planning on using the same camera crew you used on that project for this project?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Using.
Okay, would you be opposed to the commission accompanying them while they do that?
Not at all.
No,
Okay,
that's fine.
You want to volunteer? That's fine. Thanks, James.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there someone, who should we call on that then?
I would notify Hannah, and then Hannah can notify us.
Yeah, I can reach out to Hannah with once we have that scheduled, and then I know when the camera truck will be there.
Okay, and those members that wish to attend certainly can feel free to do so. That would be fine.
Can I say the gentleman that just spoke a minute ago, and I don't even know his name.
Dale?
Dale McKinnon?
Dale, no, thank you very much. I do appreciate what people are doing. It's just a little frustrating, but you know, I don't doubt that it's gonna be straightened out. I don't. It's just howling. And I appreciate digging into it. I know everyone's tired too, so.
Thank-
Okay, windbag Tom's out of the thing.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Can I come back when the next time, anything?
So, of course, sure, anytime.
Thank you.
We'll leave a light on for you.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Dale. If anybody
Thank
else
you.
has any questions.
See you soon.
Everybody.
Okay. Moving to jump to 206 Mechanics Street site walk before we do the minutes. That's the warehouse, the detention basin. Tim, did you have something you wanted to add about that? I see you came back in the room.
206 mechanic?
Yeah, 206. It's on the agenda, site walk.
No,
We talked about the detention basin in the back being need to be checked, that goes down and behind the paper warehouse as well, that had been breached slightly during the early construction, and you had commented about a site walk, I think, at the last meeting or potentially.
yeah, I haven't done a site walk in the back. I can go down there and take a look at it if any of the commission wants to join me, they can, I can reach out to them, or I can go to just take a look at it. Not a
That'd be
problem.
great.
They're kind of finishing up now. They're trying to, yeah, as you can see, they're doing some landscaping. They're going back and forth with the planning board now regarding there's a slight issue with the design of the facade. There was supposed to be some definition in there, and there was never an elevation plan submitted back to the planning board to that effect. So they're trying to they're trying to come up with some facade panels, accents that would simulate a kind of a staggered wall kind of look. But
Instead of that.
yeah, instead of that big row. So they were trying to do it with paint, but there is some language in there. So they're trying to address that now. They're trying to construct the turning lane on Maple Street. DOT, they're working with DOT, trying to get the okay to start that. They are doing the landscape and the berm, the curbs, and they moved the drainage out. So I can go out and take a look at the back definitely and see what kind of condition that's in now.
They've got to build too, right?
Yes,
With
yes.
signage and,
So stone wall, yeah, so there's a stone wall, there's a question, you were at the meeting. Yeah, so there was a question whether, the color of stone, they're gonna bring in some samples of color stone. They wanna match the wall across the street, so it kind of looks some uniformly, kind of country walls. Except for the wall across the street has a lot of masonry joints, and they wanna do it a little nicer looking
Better
wall
job,
with our
yeah.
internal, cemented on the inside instead of the outside, tighter stone, and, that's what they're trying to achieve now.
Now, what is it on the back that you'd look, because I could join you if you want.
Yeah, so there's a detention basin in the back.
Okay.
And a wall, you know, there's a wall on the side, so we can take, we'll
Yeah,
take
just
a
let me
walk through
know.
the whole site.
Pretty
Sure,
flexible.
sure.
Okay.
It was an existing basin. It was,
Yeah, because I didn't see them.
it was originally built oversized in anticipation someday. It was kind of a weird, we've never run into that before where they kind of, it's partially on Riley's property and there's some weird stuff that was done with that back in the day when Lindemeyer went in.
Yep.
And
Originally did the work.
it's odd.
Yeah, so the asphalt plant's kind of bulging at the seams over there right now. I mean, you may wanna, we can take a look at it when you go. Maybe we might wanna send a letter to them.
Did-
pretty soon.
Tim, did we ever get a engineering study approved or whatever for that huge high retaining wall between the edge of the northern edge of that new project and the asphalt company land? I mean, that wall's gotta be like 30 feet high, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I never,
All I can think of is the plaza opposite Walmart and that retaining wall going. Then this wall looks so much higher and thinner. I just hope that they did it right engineering wise. I assume you guys were on top of that for the building.
well, what, were you guys on, you mean, you talking about Riley's wall?
No, I'm talking about the wall that the warehouse put in.
Oh,
on that
yeah,
side
yeah, that's all
property.
engineered. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very high
that's-
wall. Okay, quick question. I will forward you a email from Barbara Sukol at the DPW, sorry. She has somebody at High Ridge that wanted to have somebody look at the tree. I mentioned that they were looking for an arborist and so forth. I mentioned that I might have you reach out to him and see if you could do a drive-by and see if these trees are warrant and maybe take a picture or two. Some sort of emergency treatment. He's worried about them falling on his house.
Yeah, two High Ridge?
I'll forward that to you tomorrow.
Was it two High Ridge, Mike?
Yeah, it's two High Ridge, Greg Harris.
Yeah,
It's
the
that
tree,
first house on the
today.
left.
the tree warden reached out to me today and asked
Oh,
me
he
to
did?
take a look at it, yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
So I'll
apparently-
take a look at it and see where it is and in
Okay,
relation to the buffer
that'd be
zone
great.
or wetlands.
All right, the last thing on the agenda that I have is,
There's one more.
and Hannah, if there's something else you need to bring up, let me know. Is the minutes for two of the meetings that we needed to approve tonight, assuming the commission members are willing and able to do so. And they are the meeting minutes for. 1 second, I just lost my place here. 1 second. Oh, here we go. For October 25th and March 13th. I had a few very minor notations that frankly, my voice isn't going to hold up to read off, but I will forward them along. Just trust their little typos. Nothing major. For those two sets of minutes myself, but generally I think they were fine, even if I don't get those minor corrections made. But do the commission members, are they ready to approve those minutes? Do you have questions about them, comments?
Isn't October 25th the one that we went into executive session?
No, I think that was in August. I believe.
I think the executive session was the first meeting of September.
Oh, September, sorry, thank you, Hannah, yeah. No, this
Okay.
one, I'm not sure why we were behind on the 25th one. Do you remember, Hannah?
Yeah, it was because we were discussing the 21 Chase Street and how technically we
right.
denied it. Yeah.
Okay, so that we never actually approved that one. And as we heard tonight from Paul, that's still gonna be continuing, but doesn't stop us from approving the minutes for that if there's nothing else on that. Anybody else have any other questions about the 25th meeting minutes?
Nope.
Okay, how about March 13th? Anybody have any questions or comments about those? Those are fairly current, but we could still approve them if everybody's good. Okay, all right, I will forward those comments along to the interns, Claudia and Kaya, about the typos that I saw, just a date or two or I think off, but I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes as potentially amended for the 25th of October and March 13th. Thank you, Neil. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Noel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Mike online.
Hi, Ariana online.
Okay, no, does anyone have any other questions, comments, new business? Hannah, is there anything that we needed to know from all those notes that you sent us and Claudia sent along that we need to discuss tonight, or is it all push offable?
No, I think everything's good on my end. Just in general with stuff for the next month. I know I texted you guys this, but just I'm just gonna be working a couple hours every day here and there, a little bit random. So if there's any emails, feel free to CC Concom intern. Or if it's maybe something more time sensitive, of course, like add Tim to it. If it's something that needs to be done in person, just to make sure multiple eyes are on it while I'm transitioning through this new lifestyle.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best with that, and it's great to see that you're able to participate, and thanks for all your support, and thank you both, Claudia and Kaya. Excuse me, and if there's no other business, I'll accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mike, Tim has one.
Michael, yeah, so we have an issue on Ruth Ellen Road. We have a resident that, decided to cut right down, there's a wetland, between the houses, and they go on the back property lines. I think it's more of a drainage area, but it runs a lot. I don't know when it dries up or not, but he cut all the way down to the banking. He cut right to the toe of the slope, cleared the banking, constructed some stuff that I made him cease and desist on the construction part, but you're gonna have to issue a,
Enforcement order?
yes, yep.
Okay, Hannah, help me out on that. Is that something that you can help us draft up an enforcement order for? What was the address again, please?
I can get her the address. I think it's 134 Ruth Ellen.
Ruth Allen? Where is
Yeah, it's
that?
Ruth Ellen Road in it's in Weathersfield.
Oh, Weatherfield, okay.
I got some of those emails. I don't know if Tim was on those emails. I got photo proof of
Yeah,
those.
we got some photos. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah,
pretty-
so
kinda-
I
kinda
didn't know
lame
that
on it.
Tim had done a site visit until literally he just said so. So we'll definitely
this the one with-
collaborate on
Is this
wordage.
the one with
there.
Is this one that you emailed us about, Hannah, Diane Hamilton, or is that the different one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I wasn't aware, because it didn't say what the property location was.
She's the
Dock
resident.
Structure and so forth.
Yeah,
That's, yeah,
she's the
people can't be
resident
putting
of the
docks in
railroad.
wherever they want. Okay, so, Tim, I guess, can you work with Hannah on getting enforcement order, and then
Yeah,
if the
definitely.
if the commission, what do we need? Do we need a motion on that? What do you think, Neil? Enforcement order?
I think you
Not
do
have
have
it
to vote.
drafted? We don't have it drafted yet.
We can,
Make a motion to instruct her to,
yeah, we can.
Draft one?
Yeah, we can make a motion to draft one.
And then
I think that's correct.
and then I'm probably the only one that needs to actually sign it. You only need one signature, I think, right, to get it pushed through. We don't have to go to
I-
another meeting.
Technically, yeah. If it's emergency enough, it can just be Mike who signs off.
Well, if it's a clear violation enough for Tim to see, tell him to stop doing stuff, I think it's pretty clear that it's an
Yeah.
emergency, so.
Yeah, Tim notices it.
it's,
Yeah.
sorry, it's I think it's 45 Ruth Ellen.
Okay. I'll accept a motion to issue an order to instruct our administrator to issue an order, enforcement order, which I will sign for 45 Ruth Allen Road in Weathersfield for a violation, details of which will follow in the enforcement order. Does that make sense? Is that a clear enough motion?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I can go get eyes on it tomorrow too.
excellent. So I'm looking for a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ariane. Second, anyone?
Second, James.
Thank you, James. Any other discussion?
So, the resident that, made the complaint is at, let's see, is right behind it. I think she is, 8 Stella Road. She gave permission to, if you knock on her door, if you go there, she'll let you view from the backyard, because just remember, you don't want to get caught trespassing. The guy invited me, I knocked on his door and he invited me in his backyard, and I saw all the stuff and said, stop, he built a dock on, top of the slope. The slope is probably about 6 feet from his yard down to the water. He built a dock that protrudes over the water.
This tree line?
Yeah, and then removed all the vegetation on the slope, his whole backyard.
It goes all the
So-
way here. Goes
No,
through.
crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I guess my point is that, you know, the woman in the rear will let you in her backyard to view anything you want.
Okay. So if members want to take a look, feel free to reach out to Tim, get the details from
Yeah.
the lady.
Yeah, her phone number, I think her contact was on those pictures on the email as well that he had.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions about the enforcement or on hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mike online.
Hi, Ariane online.
All right, no dissension. Thank you. Unanimous vote. Thank you very much. And Hannah, let me know and I can stop by town hall whenever and sign off on that
Okay.
if you would. And that'd be fine. Thank you. Any other business? Anybody else have anything else they need to bring up?
Mike, just real quick, my apologies again for missing that walk. Unfortunately, we lost my mom.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thursday, so it was that day.
Sorry to
so-
hear that.
I'm sorry, Neil. I
A lot
had
of,
no idea. Sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of sorts, shall we say.
Yeah, I just lost a parent too a month ago, so yeah, I know it's like stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks. Don't worry about it. We'll catch up with Judith. She's a reasonable person and we'll work through this somehow. K Street isn't the end of the world. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I'm gonna ask for a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Neil. Second, someone?
Second, James.
Thank you. No, whoever done. All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks. Good night. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Anna. Thanks, Pam.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Tim. Thanks, everybody else who's left. Thanks.
Oh.